AfreecaTV StarLeague ASL에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
나의 레벨은 다르다. 어나더 레벨 핫섹스와 함께하는 ASL 시즌 13 24강 D조 경기로 인사드립니다. 안녕하세요. 이현경입니다. 지난주 펼쳐졌던 A, B, C조 경기를 통해서 6명의 16강 진출자가 가려졌습니다. 오늘 D조 경기를 통해서 또 2명의 16강 진출자가 탄생할 텐데요. D조 경기를 앞두고 있는 4명의 선수와 함께 인터뷰 나눠보겠습니다. 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
네, 먼저 장윤철 선수 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
지난주 24강 경기들을 쭉 지켜보셨을 텐데 많은 분들이 이번 시즌은 프로토스가 굉장히 강세다라는 평가를 내놓고 가세요. 장윤철 선수도 좀 이런 강세를 이어갈 수 있을지도 좀 궁금해지는 시즌이거든요.
제가 올라가서 한번 타토스를 한번 해봤으면 좋을 것 같아요. A조에서. 근데 오늘 좀 쉽지 않아요.
조가 쉽지 않나요?
오늘 일단 제가 좀 컨디션도 좀 별로 안 좋고 게임을 하는데 다 지더라고요. 그래가지고 제가 원래 약한 척을 잘 안 하는데 오늘은 진짜 좀 위험한 것 같아요.
위험한 24강 경기일 것 같다라는 예상을 김경호 선수는 조금 안도하면서 들어도 될 것 같거든요. 김경호 선수와도 인사를 나눠보겠습니다. 안녕하세요.
네, 안녕하세요.
네, 예선 둘째 날 기분 좋게 승리를 거두고 또 이렇게 24강 본선에 올라오셨습니다.
네.
옆에 있는 상대 장윤철 선수에게 1일차 예선에서 또 패배했던 경험이 있기 때문에 오늘 장윤철 선수가 컨디션이 안 좋다는 얘기 조금은 다행스럽게 들리지 않으시나요?
윤철이가 근데 맨날 약호 하거든요. 약간 코스프레 해가지고 잘 안 믿고
네.
그거에 방심 안 하고 그냥 제가 준비한 거 최선을 다하겠다라는 생각밖에 안 하고 있어요.
그때 예선에서의 패배가 김경모 선수에게 그래도 어느 정도 자양분이 됐을 수도 있을 것 같은데 오늘 경기 준비 어떻게 해오셨을까요?
그냥 일반 게임할 때는 윤철이가 그렇게 좀 안 세 보였는데 이번에 예선할 때 게임하니까 좀 세게 느껴지더라고요. 그래서 이번에 좀 준비를 했고 윤철이가 쉽진 않을 거예요.
쉽게 갈 수는 없을 거다. 김경문 선수가 발목을 제대로 잡아줄 거다라는 좀 자신감을 보여주고 계시는데요. 또 한 명의 자신감이 넘칠 선수 우리 김지성 선수와도 인사를 나눠보겠습니다. 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
최근 바로 이 프리거 스튜디오 무대에서 또 올킬을 했던 경험이 있는 김지성 선수입니다.
네네.
그때의 기운을 또 쭉 이어나가고 싶으실 텐데 오늘 컨디션은 어떠세요?
네, 그렇게 오래되지 않은 대회라서 아직 그때 기억이 아직 생생하고요. 오늘도 그 기세에 이어서 지금 제가 여기서 한 7연승 정도 했던 것 같거든요. 그때.
네.
한 10연승까지는 한번 해보고 싶네요.
오늘 3번 이기고 올라가겠다. 그렇다면 오늘 최종전으로 올라갈 생각이실까요?
아니, 오늘 이제 승자전 2승으로 올라가고 이제 또 16강 때 이기는 거.
연승을 계속해서 이어나가겠다라는 포부를 밝혀주셨는데 또 김승현 선수와도 인사를 나눠봐야죠. 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
오랜만에 ASL 진출이십니다. 기대도 정말 많이 하셨을 것 같은데요.
네.
좀 어떤 모습 보여주고 싶으실까요?
거의 한 3년 만에 다시 하는 거라서 이번에 진짜 열심히 준비했고 너무 세요. 상대분들이 다 너무 잘하시고 해서 근데 지고 싶진 않아가지고 저도 예전에 하던 대로 열심히 준비했고 오늘 좋은 경기 한번 해보겠습니다.
24강 조편성을 보고 나서 꽤나 격한 반응을 보이셨다고 제가 알고 있습니다.
네.
그만큼 좀 강한 조다라는 느낌을 받으셨던 것 같은데
네.
어떤 선수가 김승현 선수에게 좀 가장 까다롭게 느껴졌을까요?
아니 김지성 선수도 요즘 너무 잘하시고 또 윤철이 같은 경우에 원래 푸프전은 변수가 있는데 제가 윤철이를 거의 잘 못 이겨서 이번에 그리고 깨모 형도 토스전을 너무 잘하시고 다 너무 힘들어요 솔직히 상대가. 근데 잘해봐야죠. 예.
뭔가 한 방이 있는 듯한 묘한 대답을 남겨준 김승현 선수인데요. 이번에는 팬분들이 선수들에게 직접 남겨주신 질문을 드려보겠습니다. 장윤철 선수에게 질문을 남겨주셨어요. 마이크를 좀 받아주실까요? 최근 방송 때마다 위기다, 대위기다 이런 얘기를 자주 하시는 걸로 알고 있는데 오늘 솔직히 위기가 찾아올 것 같은지 솔직한 답변을 좀 원하시거든요.
오늘 진짜 위험해요. 오늘 제가 여태 했던 24강 중에 제일 위험한 것 같아요.
위기가 찾아온다면 첫 번째 경기에서 찾아올까요? 아니면 두 번째 경기에서 찾아올까요?
첫 번째 경기에서는 안 올 것 같고요. 그다음 두 번째랑 최종전에서 만약에 진짜 뭐 누구를 만난다 하더라도 좀 위험할 것 같습니다.
승자전이나 최종전은 일단 위기일 수 있지만 첫 번째 경기는 아니다. 김경호 선수.
네.
분명히 쉽게 가지 못하게 하겠다고 얘기를 했는데 전혀 심리적인 흔들림이 없는 장윤철 선수예요.
오히려 좋습니다.
아,
저한테 지면 타격이 더 클 것 같고.
네.
예.
김경호 선수도 괜찮으신 거죠?
네,
오히려
괜찮아요.
좀 심리적인 타격을 받으신 것 같아요.
조금 어지러지네요.
그렇다면 이번에는 팬분들이 김경호 선수에게 보내주신 질문인데요.
네.
김경호 선수의 개인 방송을 보면 오랜 시간 방송하면서 여러 가지 컨텐츠를 함께하는 모습 볼 수 있었는데 만약 이 연습 시간이 오직 ASL에만 할애가 된다면 연습에만 할애가 된다고 한다면 어떤 성적까지 가능할 걸로 예상을 하시는지 질문 주셨습니다.
너무 저한테 큰 기대를 품고 질문을 주신 것 같은데 그냥 저는 일단 예선 뚫은 걸로 너무 만족하고 있고 기회가 된다면은 조지명 씨까지가 아닐까라고 생각해 봅니다.
일단 첫 번째 목표는 16강을 바라보고 계시는군요.
네네.
네, 오늘 경기 한번 기대해 봐야겠네요. 김지성 선수에게 질문 드리겠습니다. 최근 ASTL부터 개인 방송에서의 팀 단위 대회까지 활약이 굉장히 두드러지고 있습니다. 이런 실력 상승의 원동력, 김지성 선수 본인은 어디에 있다고 보시나요?
그냥 저는 스타가 너무 재밌어서 계속 하는 건데 즐기면서 하다 보니까 실력이 계속 느는 것 같아요. 그 실력 느는 맛에 또 더 열심히 하게 되는 것 같고 그러다 보니까 실력이 계속 느는 것 같아요.
즐기는 자를 이길 수 없다는 말이 괜히 있는 게 아닌데 오늘 김지성 선수를 이길 자는 없을 수도 있겠다라는 생각이 듭니다. 자, 마지막으로 김승현 선수에게도 질문 드리겠습니다. 김승현 선수의 경기하면 흑마술이라는 단어가 생각이 나요. 김승현 선수의 상대들이 뭔가에 홀린 것처럼 좀 말리게 되는 현상들이 발생하는데 이 흑마술의 비법 뭐라고 생각하시나요?
근데 이제 시청자분들은 보시면 왜 이렇게 둘 다 못하지 하시겠지만 나름 그 안에 이제 심리적인 요인을 많이 집어넣는 거거든요. 그래서 오늘도 그런 식으로 준비를 해 와가지고 오늘 한번 다시 보여드리겠습니다.
다른 선수들은 김승현 선수와 경기할 때도 어떤 느낌을 받는지도 좀 궁금한데요. 진짜 좀 심리적으로 흔들리게 하는 무언가가 있나요? 김지성 선수 어떤가요?
게임은 제가 많이 안 해봤어요. 이제 김승현 선수가 이제 스타를 많이 좀 안 하셨어가지고 저는 최근에 한 지 얼마 안 됐어서 많이 못 해봤는데 게임을 보면은 항상 그게 좀 느껴지긴 해요. 네, 약간 상대가 말리게 하는 그런 게 뭔가가 있는 것 같긴 해요, 확실히.
장윤철 선수의 생각 어떠세요?
일단 그 오메킴 이식이랑 이제 조기구 이식이라고 이 되게 늪에 빠지는 그 두 명이 있어요.
네.
이 두 명이랑 하면은 그냥 자연스럽게 진행되는 것 같으면서도 출구가 어디인지 못 찾겠는 그런 느낌이
약간
나거든요.
미로에
네.
갇힌 듯한.
그래서 약간 늪 게임하는 이 두 명은 좀 조심해야 돼요.
조심해야 된다. 김승현 선수가 오늘도 ASL 시즌 13에서 그 흑마술을 발휘할 수 있을지 기대해 보겠습니다. 네 분께 마지막으로 오늘 경기 임하는 각오를 들어보겠습니다. 장윤철 선수부터 한 말씀 해주시죠.
그래도 16강은 꼭 가야 된다고 생각하기 때문에 이번에 또 죽을 듯 말 듯 해가지고 꼭 올라가도록 하겠습니다.
네, 김경호 선수.
네, 저는 오늘 목표가 확실해요. 네, 작전명 오메킴이거든요. 네, 무조건 김승현만 잡자라는
네.
생각으로 왔고 일단 매 경기 최선을 다해서 좋은 모습 보여드리겠습니다.
기대하겠습니다. 김지성 선수.
네, 저도 이번 시즌 목표가 좀 높기 때문에 오늘은 좀 무난하게 올라갈 수 있도록 한번 해보겠습니다.
네, 좋습니다. 김승현 선수.
사실 진출보다는 좀 후회 없는 경기 하고 싶고요. 경모 형이 저한테 지면 대학교에서 해고된다고 하더라고요.
네.
오늘 해고 한 명 시키겠습니다.
많은 것들이 걸려있을 오늘 경기 기대하도록 하겠습니다. 인터뷰 고맙습니다.
감사합니다.
네, 하식스와 함께하는 ASL 시즌 13 24강 D조 경기 오늘 살아남아 16강에 진출한 두 명의 선수는 누가 될지 지금부터 경기를 통해 함께 지켜보시죠.
ASL 시즌 13 Unlimited.
What's up, everybody? We're here at Group D of the ASL in the round of 24. So far, it's been an amazing season, and I think today will be no exception.
Yeah, I think today is actually going to be really a lot of fun. Obviously, we do have some favorites in there, but upsets can occur. Really looking forward to seeing Royals games. This guy is one of the most exciting Terran players out there. He's kind of innovating in ways that some of the other Terrans really are not. So I'm really hoping that we see him go through, especially considering how few Terrans we have in that next round so far.
I'm personally very excited for Snow. I think anybody who's been following ASL for the last couple of years knows that Snow has just been a phenomenal player, a real innovator of the race Protoss, so that's what I've got my eyes peeled for. Before we go any further, though, guys, thank you so much for your support on Patreon. That's patreon.com/ASL English. If you love what we're doing, and you want to support us and the people that help support the English production for this event, that includes the video editing, the translation, you can go there and, I don't know, throw $5 our way. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. So taking a look so far, the next round, the round of 16, who are we going to have there? Well, a lot of Protoss players, really great ones as well. Look at that, Mini Best, Rain, Bisu. That's like the 4 best Protosses, right? Like, that's pretty insane. Then, yeah, I mean, don't count out Shuttle, great player as well. For Terran, of course, we only have Rush and Light, the 2 best Terrans in the world so far. And then on Zerg, that's a 6 Zerg lineup as well. And we have some of the great players from those races coming up pretty quickly also. Of course, today we have Royal for Terran. Group E is going to have Soma in it, which is going to be amazing. And JYJ, another great Terran player. And look at that Group F, Tasteless. Sulky and Jadon.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think Snow likely to advance today, but I think after that we're going to have filled in all the Protoss slots. I mean, maybe Movie advances, maybe Ruin advances. I think
if
probably
Movie
not,
advances
but
from that group, Tasteless, I'm uninstalling StarCraft. Movie's PvZ is not up to the task of killing Sulky and Jadon. It absolutely is not.
Fair enough, fair enough. I mean, I'm trying to just hype this thing, but yeah, I'm pretty much in agreement with what you're saying.
There's some point where I have to draw the line. Movie will not make it out of that group.
You're wrong, and I can't let it go on any longer. So today, I mean, this is going to be a lot of fun. I think especially our first match here, man. But of course, you know, having Royal here today, this guy, such a good Terran player. And I love that we have these newer Terran players coming and filling in the ranks of the very best.
Yeah, absolutely. Royal is, you know, I don't think anyone puts him at the level of Light or Rush as of yet. But the thing is, he's, like I mentioned before, he's innovating in ways that we haven't seen from other players. Like, he's kind of the guy that uses ghosts. He'll use nukes. You know, he's got a lot of funny, crazy stuff that he tries. So it's really exciting to watch him. And he's definitely a top 5 Terran in the world right now. So it's going to be exciting to see how he does tonight. Of course, his first match will be against Guemchi. First up, though, Snow against ggaemo.
Yeah, Snow against ggaemo here is... look, I mean, ggaemo is very good. I don't know how he's going to fare against Snow. You know, we've talked about it throughout the season, but so far it's like all the players that, you know, if you were a very conservative betting person, those are the guys who would advance. You know what I'm saying? And I think you have to think Snow's going to move on here today. I mean, the Protoss has been looking pretty tough lately, and Snow is definitely one of the players that, you know, the way that he approached the game really built in, I think, a lot of foundational play for all Protoss players. You know, what he's done in the last 2 years or so, the way that he's managed to use Reavers to make them be so much more of a staple combat unit and not just a harass unit has really been incredible.
Yeah, he makes Reavers all game long. It's kind of funny to see. And we just saw his PvZ win rate as being kind of low, but he has really turned that matchup around. I just want to throw that out there. Like, a lot of those losses were from earlier ASL seasons, and nowadays he can kind of kill anyone in PvZ. So don't take too much into account for that. Now, ggaemo, like I've mentioned, he's underrated. He never really gets far in ASL, but he actually qualifies for quite a few of them. You know, and he does so through very stacked brackets. Like this guy, he plays things like ASTL. All the pros know him. All the pros respect him. And we haven't had some sort of breakout performance from him. But I am telling you, he is solid enough that if he has a good day, he can make it out of this group.
Yeah, I think that the stars would have to align a little bit, if you know what I'm saying. But, you know, with an ASL group, the way that this tournament functions, I mean, it's possible to, you know, be a sneaky snake or have some surprise plays. And I think that it's easy to kind of count this guy out when, in fact, you're right, he is a very, very strong player.
All right, Eclipse.
Eclipse is going to be our map.
Yeah.
Sorry, Artos. Let's say it together. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Eclipse.
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 That's when our casting eclipsed, right there. I'm actually glad that this has been our starting map for this. The Eclipse makes for so many interesting games, even when you have the same matchup over and over. This is going to be a fun one. All right, we're ready to go into game 1. Let's see what happens as we continue on in the ASL into Group B.
이클립스에서 게임을 시작합니다.
So we have Snow in that top right. And Gamo in the bottom left. I was actually...
sorry.
I was just going to mention...
I don't know why we're running over each other so much. Sorry. Sorry, man. Go ahead.
You got a lot to say, I know, Tastosis. But look, I was kind of hoping that we'd end up seeing Snow on some of the newer maps, like against Zerg specifically, just because he has a slightly different style than a lot of the Protosses. Like, for instance, you know, remember I mentioned about that new map, was it Metaverse? Yeah, where it's like, oh, could we see from someone like Snow the Corsair Reaver? Which obviously on a map like this, you're never going to end up seeing, but... yeah, I guess we'll see how he does in the group. I think he'll make it in the next round. I think there's going to be a lot of Zergs in the next round as well, even though there's not yet. So maybe we'll still get to see that.
You know, it does seem like on this map, you know, there's a lot of different ways to play it. I think Mini probably showed the craziest play on this map with the 2-gate kind of. It seemed like a one-off build, like you can't, you know, just recycle that over and over again. But, you know, in this game, we have Snow going for a quick probe scout here, and it looks like this is him doing a peek in here to see if maybe he could get away with Nexus first.
Yeah.
Now, it's a pretty early pool, so he pretty much can't. Or can he? I mean, I don't see a probe coming down here yet. Maybe if you go, it's because he's on 11, right? So, no, I'm sorry, he is on 12 here.
So he'll make
he
a
has
forge.
to get a forge pretty fast.
Yeah, and that's an overpool, not a 9 pool. But of course, well, no, I guess. Well, the thing is, you know that Snow just has it timed out, so even if we don't know the exact timing here, it's not like he sends us down, sees overpool, and then dies to Lings. Like, it just, like that, you know, that just isn't something that would ever, like, if that occurred, that would be one of those things where we just kind of get quiet and we're like, what's going on? You know?
Well, I will tell you, man, this is, I mean, he's cutting it close for sure, but I guess if he says you can get away with this, then, you know, maybe you can. But, you know,
see,
if the cannon can start
I'm
right
sure,
as the Lings hatch, it should be okay.
Yeah, and I'm sure that Snow knows his timing on this anyway. Like, I mean, this isn't even that crazy. If this was Mini, he would have his Cybernetics core started right now, and then he would go forge. Okay? So
he'd somehow have his Cybernetics core before the gateway comes out. Like, we've never even seen that.
That's the trick. Then your +1 air weapons is done that much faster.
That's right. I do feel like he cut it crazy close, but I guess the truth is that the Overlord doesn't get there in time to really confirm, you know, that you actually cut that corner.
Well, honestly, if the probe is there and you send Lings across the map, like, you're not in ASL, you know?
Yeah, it's a funny thing, like, that this has to work against an extremely good player. Maybe, like, I could test this out, like, you know, with somebody online. Maybe that does just work out perfectly. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, he gets the Nexus up. This is going to give him a little bit of a lead because he doesn't have to make that extra pylon right away. And he gets to have the probes transfer earlier, which means each probe gets an individual patch earlier. He also gets to make the extra probe from the Nexus a little bit quicker. And in this game, our Zerg player is going right into a layer here. It was gas before the third hatchery. The probe hasn't scouted the layer yet, but... he does manage to pull through there and see the layer morphing now.
And that third hatchery has been started for ggaemo as well. Anything in particular you think about the speed of that layer? Was it that odd or just pretty quick?
It is pretty fast. I mean, it doesn't mean he has to do anything drastic with it, but he does have some tech options there. You know, sometimes you see players get the quick gas because they want to get Ling speed, but with the probe in here, roaming like this, you know, you're not afraid of Hydras or anything like that. I do like Snow's position a little bit better, even though the layer is going to come out fast. That Stargate's going to come with a lot of kind of momentum behind it. You know, the second gas is going to be finishing up, so I like Snow's position overall a little bit better. I will tell you, just to be frank, I'm not very used to casting these Nexus before Forged builds because they don't happen as often in competitive matches, and I don't know how to do them myself. So
Yeah. Well, it's
You know
time
what
to
I mean?
write this one down, Tasteless. I mean, this
no
is,
kidding.
A build like this, I mean, I'm sure that you have to play Eclipse multiple times a day, right? Like, this is probably my most played map at this point.
It's like, yeah, one out of 3 games there's almost always on Eclipse. So.
Yeah. Right,
So Lings with speed are going to be done now. The Protoss has plugged up the entrance. And, you know, from here on out, we're seeing really ordinary tech, although everything is maybe, you know, 1 or 2 paces quicker here for Protoss.
hey, what's with that cannon placement? That's not a common one.
Yeah, you're right. Well, it's probably a couple things. Zerg can't see that cannon as easily.
Okay.
Now, there isn't a Hydra threat here, but, you know, I think it's okay. It does sort of cover the Nexus. We might even be reading into it a little bit too much, but I think just even hiding the cannon and putting it in a less obvious position. Keep in mind that a cannon, you know, let's say below the other cannon, that would be more to stop a Hydra bust, which when you see the layer coming, you kind of know that's not going to happen.
Okay. And, I mean, he did get the timing on that layer very, very easily. The Corsair going to fly and see that the Spire is, in fact, completed, so can't get an Overlord. Going to have to fly home pretty quickly here. A few Zealots coming out onto the map. And, yeah, Snow getting just that complete scout off, full info everywhere. And maybe this is where the double cannon can pay off a little bit.
He might just see one, right? Now, he sees that one that pokes out, and, you know, with the Lings that you have, you might get greedy and think you could get a kill on that, but he certainly can't. Now, Scourge are inbound. They're headed northbound up into where this Overlord is, which will not be killed. I think Snow.
The Zealots actually spotted that, Tasteless, so he was able to pull that away.
Okay.
Yeah, like they flew right over the Zealots. I wonder if that was planned. But very well done by Snow. Walks into this third base, but the Sunken finishes just in time. So, yeah, he can't get any damage done there.
You can really see, you know, the power of the build itself. Everything comes out pretty fast, like the +1. You know, all the Zealots coming here in time. And he's basically forced the Zerg to show his hand, right? Now you see the mutas, and now you know how much do you need to commit into Corsairs? I'd say a decent amount.
Now a DT,
Can he just run through?
Ooh, he's sliding right through into the natural. Walks right
this is
by.
Crazy.
Oh my God, 3 kills already.
Yeah, you know, he just sort of, I don't mean, for lack of better words, just ran right through. Yeah, the Sunk alone will never actually kill the DTs, so he got some hits there, nicely done. He's bought some time. I assume that's air weapons over at the Stargate that he's upgrading. And of course, you know, because he sent those Zealots over there, he can identify that there is, you know, the muta commitment there. So now he knows he needs to try to match that by having +1 Corsairs come out here. I think Snow's in very good shape. Now, there's enough Scourge out here that the Zerg may try to clobber the Protoss and take control of the game by first killing the Corsairs and then the cannons. But I think the cannon setup overall is pretty nice. And see that middle cannon on the Nat? That is kind of covered by that cannon over there on the right that we've talked about quite a bit this game. So I think a lot of the ideas from Snow are kind of coming together here.
I really like to see kind of original placements like that. It's just so interesting because everyone has their own little flair, and you know, like I mentioned, I haven't really seen that, so I guess that's a Snow thing. But I see it now with the positioning of everything. It does look very helpful.
And one thing to note from the Protoss' perspective is that you really need to count the number of mutas that are here. It's not easy to do when they stack like that, but there's only 5 Mutalisks, which should telegraph that Zerg's actually not really that all in with mutas at all. In fact, the Zerg is switching into Hydralisks right now. So what looks like, some meaningless pokes from the Corsairs are actually farming quite a bit of information, because you need to know when to keep going Corsairs or when to stop.
Yeah.
And so because he's identified, all right, it's only 5 mutas, you make the bare minimum amount of Corsairs, which I think is 5, maybe 6.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, you need to go hard into your gateways. Because if you keep making Corsairs the whole game, okay, it is 5. If you keep making Corsairs the entire game, and you get up to like 11 or something, and you can destroy the mutas, you just die to a Hydra push very quickly. You have to put that gas back into Templars.
Yeah, definitely a very important thing that you've pointed out there. And the 5 mutas, I mean, they've done a little bit, right? Like, they eliminated some of the Zealots early on. They are forcing a more defensive position in a lot of ways. And that's the amount of mutas that one-shots a probe as well. So, it's a useful amount, but at the end of the day, are they gaining enough value? Are they buying enough time for ggaemo to really power up into what he wants?
It's a good question. I mean, they're going to be handy later on. Ooh, DT gets back here. I think that this play is, it is a bit of a balancing act here for the Zerg as well. I think that he does, by the way, have the Zealots coming out now. I don't think there's an Observer with this army yet, so I think pacing-wise, ggaemo's in a pretty good spot.
Yeah.
But when you see these Lurkers, you have to back up. And one thing about the Muta opening into Hydra, then into Lurker, is it actually lends itself pretty well to the Lurker contain later on. But Snow already knows what to do. You take the one control group of Zealots out, and you try to find their 4th base and stop it from coming up. Because these Zealots don't have any utility versus a Lurker contain.
Yeah, and the Lurker contain will come up here and start hitting on the wall a little bit. That's annoying. You make sure that they're all more than one size storm apart, so those are going to be not the most valuable size storms that come out. And it's just looking pretty good for ggaemo, right? Like, he's playing a very solid game. He hasn't really taken damage. He hasn't made any bad moves.
Oh my god. Oh, I see. He just wants to try to run out here. Maybe his opponent's not looking and pick off the Lurkers. Actually, that's a pretty good use of the Zealots you have there. But I think what you said about the Zerg is completely true, Artos. I think the Zerg's playing a really good game here, honestly. And, there are a few things that can end a mid-game against Protoss better than a Lurker contain. Like, in a perfect Zerg world, the Protoss never breaks out of here, and the Zerg just quietly takes a 4th like this.
Yeah.
And, Protoss are not good at fighting Zerg in extremely narrow corridors versus Lurkers. If it's against Hydras, you're fine, but the way that Eclipse is geographically shaped, it's kind of annoying to try to get out against a Zerg player versus this. The Zerg has more surface area to place Lurkers. Dragoons can beat Lurkers, but you don't really have a lot of Dragoons that can fit in this area at once, and Dragoons are already kind of frustrating units to use.
He should probably kill that gateway, honestly. Like, he can't come out single file. You're never going to be able... Yeah. He's going to go ahead and kill that off, realizing that is a problem.
You can also see the Zerg no longer prioritize killing the gateway off, right?
Yeah.
He realizes it's better to take a more pulled-away position. The Zealots just have to keep running around the map. Now, I think they're about to be intercepted, the Zealots are, but that's going to be a big win for the Zerg because right now the 4th base is going to be in this location in the bottom right that I guess technically is supposed to be on the Protoss's turf. And if the Zerg can get that and just keep the contain up, it's going to be a very tough game. So the next minute, maybe 2 minutes, is going to be pivotal because otherwise I think Protoss is going to be in a position that's unwinnable. And the Zerg has the right idea to snipe the Observer over and over. These Overlords are perfectly placed. The Observer is maybe the most snipeable unit in the whole game in some ways. Like, even with the speed upgrade, it just dies so fast. It's crazy.
Dude, this
So
contain is like so
crazy,
well
right?
done. It's so hard to get out. I love the arc that he's sitting in as well.
And, I get asked this in my stream a lot, so I'll just bring it up here now because I'm sure people at home are maybe thinking the same thing. You might say, why not Reavers right now? Well, the problem is the Reaver and the Observer come from the same building. And if an Observer is sniped and you have a Reaver, it doesn't help you at all because you can't see the Lurkers. And there is no other unit that can see the Lurkers. There's no Oracle that can tag them in this case. So, like...
That's a good point.
It doesn't mean that a Reaver can't be Lurkers. It just means in this position, if the Zerg keeps sniping the Observer, then you don't really have anything to work with. And this arc from Zerg is insane. I almost think Snow's dead, man. If he can't get out of here.
Yeah, it looks bad for him right now, but he's going almost pure Dragoon, and as he cuts through the Hydras, I mean, these Dragoons can start knocking down some of the Lurkers, but there's a lot of Hydras behind as well. Starting to come up now. There's no Psy Storms left over. The Zealot's going to disappear immediately, and enough Hydras to push the Goons back for now.
Yeah, you know, Dragoons do pretty good damage against Hydras, but Hydras are better than Dragoons if you just had to break them down. And the idea now is that Zerg takes any injured Hydra and turns it into a Lurker, because you're going to get full HP when the egg hatches again. And you basically build back in this contain. One thing to remember as well, 2 Psy Storms kill an egg, and occasionally you'll see like a bunch of Lurker eggs being made, and the Protoss can just storm that and kill it. I don't think it's going to happen here, but I just want to point that out if we do see it, because there is some clumping occurring here. But yeah, if the Protoss can't... Okay, there it is, yeah.
Wow, really well done. And some nice Ice Storms there at the bottom as well, cutting through so many Hydras. The Zealot's actually coming out just 1 or 2 at a time, tanking a good amount of damage. But this is still so many Hydras.
Is it the Corsairs? There's something going on down there.
Yeah, I'm not sure. A single Zealot with 5 kills. What?
I think some Zealot drop happened. I'm not totally sure, but something went down there.
Yeah, shuttle flies by the 4th base as well. It looks like he's going to make a beeline. Oh my god, he gets out of the contain? Is he going to go some? No. Turns around, fight the contain. Okay. So
I think that he drew the Hydras away unintentionally with the shuttle.
And he does take that moment to break out. So he's like mostly broken out, but it feels like ggaemo, if he brings all of his units to bear, may be able to put the containment back on.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that. I mean, there's some... Okay, it's Zealot drops that keep happening over here. Now, he did basically distract the Zerg, and, you know, it's kind of a weird moment. I felt like there was almost no way for him to get out, and then the Hydras all left to chase the shuttle, which is probably not worth it.
Yeah.
And basically at the last second, the Protoss has managed to wriggle free.
Yeah, it really did feel like he was on the edge there, but now a 3rd Nexus is going down. Snow spending that money down, trying to stay out here with his army. Comes in with a good spread. Only a couple Lurkers in there, so he's going to pick those off very, very quickly. Dodges a storm with those observers. Some good micro here from Snow as he starts to push this all back.
You know, one thing about the Zerg in this style of play is you do need to know when to stop. Like, Hydras are not going to beat Zealot, Templar, Archon, Dragoon, right? It's just not going to happen here. And I think he even faked him out with an empty shuttle there. I think he sent that shuttle in. By the way, Snow has no minerals, so that just goes to show how down to the wire this is.
Oh my
god,
yeah.
Long distance mining. There's no minerals in the main. That really goes to show you the power of this technique against Protoss from the Zerg. Is that, you know, it was probably down to about 30 seconds more of contain, and the Zerg just would never let the Protoss out, and the Protoss just dies.
Yes.
Which is crazy, right?
It definitely seems then that it was a misstep to send those Hydras down after the shuttle.
Exactly. Yeah, I think he's much better off if he just tries to hold the contain. You know, you can limp through this with less drones.
But look at this, though. DT coming up, really turning the tides of this battle a bit. A storm there to the south, but there's not many Protoss units left over. These Hydras seem like they might be able to win this battle. So, a beautiful storm comes out, and the DT still being such a hero here, killing so many Hydras. But Snow looking at, like, I mean, this is 4 or 5 units left over, only Tasteless. There's no way he's going to stop the macro engine of ggaemo.
I'm worried for him. Only just now is the Nexus completed, so he's really able to soak up those minerals. But, like, honestly, man, I don't know how high the gateway production was back then. A stray Templar could be sniped very easily. A storm goes down and literally... Oh, my God, that actually connects on the eggs? That's too funny.
Tasteless,
well,
I think Snow's dead, straight up. I think
you're right.
There's just, he doesn't have the units left over. He's got 4 units at the top of this ramp. And that's just not going to be enough.
Maybe with the next macro cycle, maybe. I don't know, man. This is so many Hydras. I don't see an OBS here either.
He's mining 1 base against, like, 4. You know? It's just... That is not a winning situation.
Oh, no. This Archon goes down. There is something coming here from the flank from Protoss, but I don't think it matters. GG Snow outdone. Lurker Contain does win the game there. And that's a big upset here for Group D, man.
Yeah, but like I was talking about at the beginning, Gaemo he's solid, man. His best play is good enough to do this, and he makes it ASL pretty regularly. You saw it seemed like he played that very well. I think it was questionable the amount of Hydras he sent after that shuttle, but other than that, this was just rock solid play.
It was very impressive, man. I mean, I'll tell you, like, Snow did not play poorly.
No, it didn't seem that way, yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, he looked really, really good. All right, it's already been an exciting group, man. This is so cool. And, you know, Snow now going to fight for his tournament life. One of the greatest Protosses in the modern era. Could be eliminated first in ASL, man.
Yeah, it is a real possibility at this point. You can't underestimate these other players in the group as well. So Gaemo goes on to that winners match, and I mean, this is not the storyline, the reality that I thought that we were going to face. You know, everything has been super predictable so far this season. The best players winning all their matches, no upsets. But here we have our first. All right, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. When we get back, Royal against guemchi.
힘들어도
어려워도 이렇게 멈추면 내가 아니지.
오늘이 보여.
새로운 나를 만든다.
나의 레벨은 다르다. 어너더 레벨 핫6.
어려워도 이렇게 멈추면 내가 아니지. 오늘이 모여 새로운 나를 만든다. 나의 레벨은 다르다. 어너더 레벨 핫6.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for waiting. And thank you, Patreon supporters, for keeping ASL alive with Tastosis casting. And I'll tell you what, man. You know, it was rough when we found out we weren't going to be able to do this in the studio. But in a weird way, I kind of like the way that this whole show is working out. Because we can get the interviews translated, like proper translated. Mm-hmm. We can get this edited in a way that I think is more palatable for a Western audience. And even though we can't do it live, it's kind of like a Netflix series now, right? Like you avoid spoilers, and then you get to watch each part of the show and enjoy it that way. And so thank you, everybody who made that possible.
Oh, totally. And I mean, the Korean time zone is really kind of far off for most English speakers, so most people do watch in VODs already. But I agree with you. Like, that's one piece of feedback I've seen a lot, that the ways that the interviews are translated with the subtitles is just really fantastic on these VODs. So a big shout out to Banana Soup for doing such a good job for us on that.
Yeah, and of course, sometimes you don't know if we're wearing pants or not. I mean, that's also kind of exciting for me, for you guys at home, to not know, you know,
are you
what I'm really wearing when I do this. Anyways, on to this match, man. Now, here's Royal with his serial killer eyes.
Yep.
Ready to murder some players in this group.
Well, he's the stakes have just gone up, Tasteless, because if he loses here, he has to play Snow.
Look at his eyes right now. He's looking at. That's the face you make when you're like, how do I make a skin suit out of my next victim?
The way his eyes look right now, it's almost like he's gone into a trance, right? Like he plugged himself into the Matrix type thing.
Like we whispered the words in his ears, and now like his mind's gonna be taken over like a Manchurian candidate.
Yeah. And then of course we have
guemchi.
Yeah.
This guy, you know, look, I think he's a great player. I don't think he's got good odds to get out of this ASL, especially looking at what's, you know, already been on the other side of this group stage.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen him. Look, when Guemchi is in good shape, I actually think he looks pretty darn good and has some good decision making a lot of the time. But I honestly didn't even realize that he was active until I saw his name qualify for this season. That happens sometimes, and I'm like, maybe he's active, and I just missed him on the streams I watch and the other tournaments that I watch, but like here he is, man. He's in ASL again.
Yeah, and I welcome him, man. I want to see how he could perform. I think he's definitely, you know, an unlikely candidate for the round of 16, but we do have upsets. We do have surprises. Though right now, he's going to go up against Royal. We're going to go back onto Eclipse, as we always do for the round of 24 in the first match in each group. And, you know, like we talk about PvT all the time, I always want to see what opening Protoss does versus Terran on this map, as there are so many ways to approach this matchup on Eclipse.
이클립스에서 게임을 시작합니다.
All right, we're going to open up here with Royal in the bottom left. Guemchi in the top right.
It's the eyes, man.
Yeah, it's. I guess it's like the way he holds his head. It's like an angle that he's looking out at that kind of makes it look that way too.
I think he has some of the same posture issues that I have.
Yeah, actually, yeah, you're right.
My head
kind
is
of
kind
lean
of
forward
like,
a little bit. Yeah,
yeah. Or even if I think I'm leaning back, my neck and head are still forward.
Yeah. I really liked how you changed your camera angle on stream, so it's like to try to cover up how bad your posture is and how dumb you look.
It's so bad, man.
Yeah.
And it's not like my posture got better, but my new camera angle on my stream certainly is.
Dude, the magic of cameras.
I don't know if flattering is the word, but
Seriously.
it's definitely a better look for me.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, man. By the way, I think it's a gas steal again.
But look at how quick
there's
this SCV is coming out. Okay, so this is a little bit bizarre. He might be going for like a proxy play. This is very uncommon.
This is actually almost illogical just from the way I'm seeing it now, but let's just see how this pans out. He does make a barracks, and the gas is stolen. Now a lot of times, hold on,
Yeah.
let me jump in here. A lot of times when you're Protoss, you watch carefully for the second SCV to leave the base, because you want to just kind of keep track of every SCV.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he's going to make an eBay here, which kind of negates the second part of this build, which is to steal the... not to steal, to take a base. You've stolen the gas, now you want to take a base. And so, I have to say, Royal kind of came in here with some real brilliance.
Well, this is very weird because this is such a strong counter to what Guemchi is doing. But like, if he had proxied a gateway in a location like behind the natural that Royal did not check, and he sent out an early SCV like this and built an eBay without scouting into the main, that would be like the worst thing that could happen, you know?
Oh, no, he would die. I mean, he would just lose out. I mean, this is what's funny. This is almost like what we would call more of a tournament build and less of a ladder build.
Oh, yeah. No, you do this on the
Because right
ladder,
now
man,
he's-
he'll actually get stuck in B rank doing this in ladder. Like,
Yeah,
just,
no, because-
you'll die so often.
Yeah, exactly, because you could look at this and be like, oh, well, I mean, you know, it's not like all Protosses at all levels always fast expand with gas steal. And keep in mind that this was not a pylon on low ground. It was a pylon in main. A lot of Protosses pylon on low ground. Oh, my God. And you could do another eBay? That didn't even occur to me. But, yeah, that's so funny.
Oh, wow.
That's so dirty.
This is super, super weird. It's like I'm watching a StarCraft 2 TVP right now.
Yeah, yeah, where like buildings, you could just fling them out everywhere and it's fine.
Yeah, and I mean, eBay blocks are actually kind of popular right now in that, but yeah, this has been the strangest opening, and it's so meta. I don't know whether I should be disgusted by Royal or really impressed. You know what I mean? Because there's definitely risks involved, but he nailed it. He nailed it, and it's a tournament, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I mean, talk about putting the work in. Weirdly enough, the Terran has the command center started before the Protoss has the Nexus, which literally never happens.
Yeah.
With the way this is supposed to start out. So, I mean, everything Royal prepped for worked out, and I got to say, this is a very intimidating play against a Protoss here.
Dude, yeah, he's playing so well. Like, he doesn't even need to get his bunker yet because he has 4 Marines by the time the first Zealot comes down. He's really manhandling guemchi right now. Like, this is... Yeah, everything has worked perfectly for Royal and nothing for guemchi.
Now, that being said, it's not like guemchi is eons behind. He had to rearrange his build. I would say that he is still a little bit behind where he would want to be. I mean, the Nexus, Gas-Steel Nexus first kind of defaults the Protoss to be in a little bit of a lead. But the Robo's coming. We could very well see a Robo drop, although it does seem like there has been a new trend to not even do that and instead get obs out right away with a couple goons.
I'll say I think that guemchi is going to go Reaver. I'd be a little bit surprised if he doesn't here. Just, it feels right in this situation. And, like, I mean, if he was quicker on his tech and quicker on his Nexus, I think the Dragoon play is totally fine. But in this type of situation where you're just, like, a little bit behind in every way, the Reaver does a lot for you. Forces turrets, keeps you alive. Potential damage. I mean, at this level, it's not likely that a quick Reaver drop is really going to kill SCVs. But, yeah, I think it would be a very good move from guemchi to go ahead and do that. Yeah, and there it is. The support bay goes up.
Yeah, it may be better to, like, cancel or not use it even, but, you know, it's going to force turrets no matter what. I do want to talk about one other thing. And you know what? I'll take that back. It's probably better to just get the Reaver no matter what. I'm, like, thinking way too hard about this.
Yeah.
I think...
You're like the guy that cancels the Citadel, then remakes it when the SCV leaves. It's like, tasteless. I mean, you're going to need the building anyways. It's fine, man.
It's probably better to just get something tasteless to stop trying to make magic tricks happen on here. I'm like, is this your card? And then they attack me with more units and I die. So, one thing I do want to point out here is that, you know, a lot of these quick carrier builds are hinged on really, really tight timings everywhere, right? And so if he does go for carriers, things have been slowed down slightly. Maybe he's going to have a harder time dealing with that.
Yeah, I think he can't really do carrier. Like, as that shuttle flies in, this is such a clean opening from Royal. I think at this point, honestly, what you do is you just say, okay, I'm a little bit behind. He's really kind of outdone me, but create out of your Robo nonstop, create out of your gateways nonstop. Just get yourself a big enough army that Royal can't just walk across and kill you right now. Don't do anything fancy.
Oh my god. Yeah. That Dragoon just ate a Spider Mine shot. That's wild. Terran's going to come up, and these gateways are going to just, you know, finish as. I think the Terran can have a pretty good position. Now, a Reaver could really wreck this army, and I almost wonder if this is a bit of an overextension here.
You know, I think pushing it back, like, this didn't end up doing that much, but he's getting more intel. You see the Reaver, you know where the Reaver's at. And look at this.
That's a big kill.
Yeah, denying that is amazing as well. Like, just slowing that Nexus down at all is really, really valuable. But guemchi he's okay, right? Like, he deflected the push. He has a decent idea of what's going on because he did get that shuttle scout. And if he just keeps producing units, like, he can make this into a game.
It is funny to see Royal being so active on the map with the Reaver here. And I think that right now the Protoss may assume the Terran has gone all the way back home. So the Reaver's going to come drop, and it's just Dragoons here. 3 factory versus, I think, 4 gateways in the...
yeah, I believe
here.
You're right that it's 4 gates, but I'm not 100% sure.
But this is a kind of a crazy position here. I mean, these tanks are really well set up to kind of take advantage of that range advantage. And he does unload, man. And I was not expecting a Scarab to go that way. But
no. Oh, man. He just flew into the only turret in there. Like, I guess you can kill these tanks, but more units are coming.
Oh.
I think that Reaver drop was, like, really exactly the opposite of what he should be doing.
Well, you know, the Reaver's such a good unit to help fight these pushes that I don't think it's really worth it to kill the SCVs.
How did those units just walk out and kill everything? How did all those tanks die? I don't know.
Yeah, that was not quite controlled correctly.
Yeah. But, okay. Like, I guess he's still alive here. He's cleaned that up. 2 probes now at that third base. It's going to take the Vultures a little bit longer to kill 2 instead of 1. He's still not going to get the... Oh, he does get the Nexus up. Okay.
Yeah, guemchi's fighting back. I'm a little worried about, the fact that Reaver drop was, like, so... I don't know. It seemed kind of like he lost control of the game. You know what I'm saying? Things sped up, and he's like, oh, God, oh, God, oh, God. And he just set the Reaver in there, and then, he's had some wins here in the fights, but, running into mines like this, there's a lot of moments where I don't feel like he's really streamlining his play.
The Reaver drop reminded me, Tasteless, of, like, in StarCraft 2 when someone just sets up, like, a Liberator to go to a position, but there's anti-air there, and they're not looking at it. That's, like, what that looked like, where it's like, you just set it and forget it, and, like, it just did not do enough. That's not how you utilize that first Reaver. So, Royal's definitely still in good position here, just down a little bit supply-wise, but he's got great production going. Adding on that starport to continue his upgrades forward. The third base for guemchi is really, really late here, which is, that's such a happy spot for Terran. If you can just, the third base is late for Protoss, you feel so much more comfortable.
Well, this is a pretty easy third base on this map for Protoss in general.
Yeah.
It's not far away, but it's a small ramp, and it's easy to pylon off. And, it's not a map where we talk about, like, you got to stop the Protoss from getting a third, but the fact that he did that is pretty good. We do need to see kind of where he stands as this game goes on, because things have quieted down a little bit. We've got Goliaths at play. We've got a command center being built here. But I do feel like Terran is closer to being even with the Protoss here for sure.
Yeah. I like his position quite a bit. I think Royal has done fantastically with this opening. And, these are natural supply spikes that we see coming out of guemchi. It's just like Protoss is going to get a little bit ahead supply-wise at this point, which is fine. But the tech is good here for Royal. Everything is kind of on time for him. His command center is probably about halfway done at the moment. So he's going to have a well-timed third base as well.
And oh, no. Okay, he's going to...
I wish he would have just flown it into the main, dropped down, and lost it.
Yeah. It's like, I hope there's no turrets here. So, Terran's going to keep powering up. We're at a point in the game where people can't really attack into each other anymore. The defenses are really well set up. I do see a second shuttle that's going to merge up with the first shuttle, and I actually am a bit confused here because I think it's an unwarranted move to try to attack into the main with 2 shuttles because there's no ground position to try to gain an edge with. And he's definitely doing it because he's shifted both.
Yeah. Or maybe this is a third base denial.
Yeah, I think it is.
Sitting
I thought he was
Reavers,
going to run in there.
Yeah, sitting Reavers on the third base on this map is really strong. You just back them up as the tanks come closer. It's really annoying to try to do anything against that. But look at this. Yeah, okay, he is going to dive into that main base, drops a few units here and picks off that tank, loses the shuttle.
He could kill the turrets off, though, and maybe get the other shuttle in there. Vulture drop here in the Protoss is natural.
Oh! Yeah, no, that's pretty darn good.
He realizes. Okay, he just now notices.
There's a cannon in the main. Oh, that's kind of funny. There's a cannon. Oh, there was a cannon at the natural as well. Okay, just kind of out of position slightly. What?
Oh, my God.
No.
I don't think he's watching.
What in the hell?
Oh, man. Oh, I feel bad for him. Yeah, there's...
we
talked earlier on about how, like, he seems to kind of be a little bit all over the place. This is the challenge of Brood War specifically, right? Is that one of the most impressive things that someone can do in Brood War is actually keep up with all the stuff they're trying to do. And I think we kind of saw a telltale sign of why this guy's not an ASL champion, right? He just got rid of the shuttle for free.
That was like a 2-Reaver shuttle, too. Oh, don't worry, though. We got the Psystorm drop. Oh, my God.
That
killed
really could not have gone better. That was about a fourth of all the SCVs Terran had, so that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, that was a lot of SCVs going down. That is absolutely brutal. Definitely we saw some wasted shuttles early on, but like Reavers don't scale all that well. And now that we're into this position where guemchi is on 4 bases, and like, this is a very common tactic right now to get speed shuttles and just kind of suicide in over and over to storm SCVs. Because you see how many you can get with one drop like that. It's crazy. I mean, you do that one more time, and Terran's economy is crippled.
I think it's one of the only things Protoss can do against a very turtled Terran, but one of the things that makes it so strong that I think is easy to forget is that, you know, even though SCVs can repair SCVs, they're usually not doing that in this game. And so anytime you damage any SCVs, like you storm an SCV but it gets away, it's weakened for the rest of the entire game. And that means, like, eventually you storm drop anything and all the SCVs explode immediately.
Yeah, that's very
like, it's
true.
extremely powerful. And so, you know, as time passes, these SCVs are going to get more and more brittle.
Yeah, and I mean, if you lose too many more, it's going to be a real issue. I mean, you got to continually remake them and everything. Now, guemchi is coming in for what looks like an attack. Royal has technically enough supply to hold this, but let's see how it goes. You never know with these attacks that are this big and how spread out Terran is. So some storms coming in, hitting on the Zealots as much as those siege tanks. The second storm, they're not doing all that well. Not a very good attack from Protoss, I think.
I would say, yeah, not a great attack. I mean, Protoss definitely mustered quite a force, but, you know, he didn't really get anywhere with that, and he didn't even really kill enough tanks for this to be a good move. I mean, if I'm Terran, I would be very happy with Protoss attacking in like that a few more times.
Yeah, guemchi just traded like 70 supply for like 20 or 30 supply. That was like, the thing is, you can tell overall, like, the strategic ideas that guemchi is going with are very good, but the execution of how he's doing it is definitely a little bit sloppy. He's lost multiple shuttles. That attack wasn't very good. But overall, like, the broad strokes, he's doing a lot of good things.
Yeah, no, exactly. Even the cannon placement here, it's like a little bit sloppy,
Yeah.
right? Like, the idea is to keep the base safe, except that he does not do that. You know, he has to have units
Why is it
actually
there?
be there.
Exactly.
The
If it's in the
shuttle
middle,
with the Reavers is not...
Yeah.
It's not bad, but then he just, you know, loses the shuttle. So there's a lot of stuff like that going on here. Now, again, you know, it can be a little bit fuzzy as far as who's in the lead in games like this because, you know, Terran does have a lot still to do before, you know, they can attack out here. But I think that, again, Royal in the long run seems to be playing better and is probably further ahead.
Yeah.
Especially after that.
No, I would definitely agree with that assessment. Like, Royal is playing a bit better than guemchi, and like, it looks like if the game just continues in this kind of vein, that Royal will grind him down eventually.
A lot of spider mines coming down now. You know, I think that Royal's done a very good job. Royal's at about 150 supply, so we're a couple factory rounds from Terran just moving out. It looks like he wants to go take a fourth base first. One thing about the fourth base on this map for the Protoss in a PvT is you can't really attack into it any more than you could in between the natural and the third. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a boxy position, and unless you're eons ahead of the Terran kind of just gets the fourth. Also, you know, when it comes to Arbiters, it's also a map it's not hard to seal off from Arbiters if you have the turrets, if the game's gone on long enough. So we're going to see guemchi just kind of lean into mass shuttle High Templar.
Yeah, and I think it's a strong composition, but the one thing I have to say about it is you can't really kill Terran with it.
Yeah, that's very true. And also, you know, there's not that much map left to kind of fight over. So I worry that we're going to see Terran slowly shut down big attack after big attack. And then Terran is just going to have access to hit the few remaining bases and win the game, right? I think it's why a lot of Protoss players try to go carriers nowadays on this map, is that way you can try to take a fight in a different way. Where, you know, here's the delayed Arbiter tech. What good is an Arbiter going to do to you? I mean, a really good Terran player of this level in a game that's gone on for, what, it's almost over 20 minutes. You're going to have the EMP ready to hit the Arbiter. You're going to have turrets there. There should be no way on Earth to get into the main with the Arbiter if the Terran's worth his salt at all. Oh, and he's going to go for carriers. I'm sorry. So
Yeah.
maybe one Arbiter into carriers.
Yeah, I like plays like that. If you go, like, let's say 1 to 3 Arbiters into carrier, that's actually pretty strong. It's like, it can be a little bit hard to read because once Arbiters come out, you don't think about that so much.
Sure, sure.
But yeah, I agree with a lot of the things you said where, like, this type of play that guemchi is doing, you're kind of looking for a tempo-based victory on this map doing this. And it seems like Royal has slowed him down enough that that should not occur. Royal would have to get really out of position or do a sloppy attack at this point for guemchi to be able to kill him without some higher-end tech.
You know, these vultures here, I don't see Protoss fighting this right now. I'm kind of confused. There's nothing coming up here, which means all these workers are going to die.
It looks like he finally does send a few more. I don't... Oh, he should not be attacking into this. Like, guemchi needs to never attack Royal again. Like, look at Royal's army.
Yeah.
Look at that. Dude, he has so many tanks.
Many tanks.
That is many tank, yes?
It is many tank. And I'm a little scared here for guemchi. I mean, Psystorm is a good thing to have, but, I mean, this is going to be an extremely powerful army. There's the Ghost.
Dude, yeah. Royal. This guy is one of the only players that actually uses Ghosts. He kind of brought Ghosts slightly into the metagame. He loves Lockdown against Arbiters. And we even see him use nukes occasionally. And this is one of the best maps for Ghosts in general. I just want to throw that out. Now, this Arbiter flying away from the vessel, it doesn't have enough for a recall yet, but does get out of there.
You know, the issue is that there's not a lot Protoss could do to fight this. Let's see how this attack goes. It's so many tanks, though. Not maybe enough vultures, though, to really hang.
Well, let's see if he can get some good Psystorms. He has all these High Templars with full energy walking up. That one Psystorms itself there. And yeah, it looks like he will erase this army. If he doesn't get that Nexus, that's going to be brutal if he does not kill that Nexus.
He should have had more vultures with that. I mean, tanks alone are going to cut it. He had like 7 vultures there. It was just, you know, you kill that and that's fine. And now I'm a little bit worried for Royal because the Terran, you know, they don't have endless attacks against the Protoss. They really have like maybe 2 or 3 in a whole game.
Yeah.
And those attacks are supposed to be much more powerful and piercing. And, you know, we just passed, you know, 21 minutes and 30 seconds. And, like, that was really the first major attack of the game. And he lost most of his tanks with it. So, now, that's a problem here.
What
for,
exactly?
Yeah, that's a... I don't know what the story is with that.
That's probably a misclick. He probably tried to click into the top left, but he's going so fast, you know.
That'll happen where, you know, you're trying to just click on the mini-map to be efficient, and, you know, you're a few pixels to one side or the other, and you completely lose a building.
Yeah, unfortunate for him. And this attack now, I think guemchi is going to get in here and erase this expansion. We'll see. Comes in. The Arbiter doesn't get anything done there. I think it did end up getting EMP, perhaps. Some Psystorms going down. And maybe enough units coming up here to push this back. So we will keep that 4th base up and mining. In the meantime, we do have a little bit of an attack here. This is really important. These bottom right bases are so crucial. Like, the late game is so much about those 2 bottom right bases.
You know, the Protoss wants to basically try to either have the bottom right or the top left. It is a bit of a burden because, you know, they can be pushed, but you're completely correct. Like, he needs to have these bases and soak up as much as he can. It does seem to be a game where we're probably going to have Protoss control the 2 bottom right bases and Terran controls the 2 top left. I'm curious what your thoughts are on a game like that, Tastosis, because that's 2 gases the Terran get.
Yeah.
Is there any kind of edge you get with those 2 gases, or am I thinking too much like a Protoss or a Zerg?
Yeah, no, you don't really use that much gas in this matchup. Like, I mean, it's great to add more vessels and stuff. And, you know, that can be useful, but no, it's... And let's not forget, there's more mineral patches in the bottom right, and also those are not full gases. They're like 3,000 gas in those 2 geysers each, or maybe it's 2,500. So it's not... There's just more resources in the bottom right. I mean, if you can get it, get it. It's a base. But it's not as powerful as the bottom right. And harder to defend as well.
So he's going to send a little drop over here to try to take out whatever he can. And he's going to have to try to take this base. But we're getting to a point where, like, the Protoss cannot attack into the Terran at all, even though I think that's what we're about to see. But, you know, it's very hard to make any of these attacks work. You don't have a big surface area. The Terran should have the tanks necessary there. Did we ever get a shot of the carriers? Is that happening?
We don't know. I mean, he made the fleet beacon, but we have not seen a single carrier. The observer has not brought us to the base at all. He's been so active. I don't know that he has any carriers right now. Like, guemchi has been all over the place. Really, it's turning into somewhat of a scrappy game. So, yeah, I'm not holding my breath to see if there's carriers up there right now. It feels like there's not to me.
Yeah, well, I mean, if there are, I'm going to be like, this is some observing, man, because, like, you know.
Yeah, we're building a suspense Tastosis.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
This is, like, part of the story we forgot. So, yeah, I mean, if he's going to go just Psystorm and, you know, Dragoon Zealot, this is going to be interesting because he's going to have to actually beat the Terran army in a fight. Without a lot of room to fight on, by the way. It's not like it's a 4-player map where the Protoss can play keep away forever, right?
Yeah. Okay, there's definitely not any carriers. You know, I guess because he has the bottom right 2 bases, if we mine out exactly as we're looking at here, guemchi will technically have mined more by a fair amount. Enough that you can oftentimes win a game off of that one additional base, like once that's it and there's nothing else. But because Royal is a slightly different style Terran that uses things like ghosts, like in really big games, ghosts are going to make a huge difference cost efficiently, right? Like if this gets down to nothing, I don't know if it's going to get to there, but the ghosts can really, really change things. Where's the ghost?
There's going to be a recall here. Now, this is going to be weird. Oh, my God.
That's a recall. Is he
going to have a second recall here?
I think he doesn't have enough energy on that one. He has enough for a
I thought
stasis.
It was coming, though, man.
Yeah. Oh, that shuttle ends up dying.
I don't feel like this is a good idea at all. I mean, he basically is recalled into a surrounded position. Well, I guess he gets the command center. That's pretty good.
You know, he stasised all those units, so he can't come down here. Guemchi's going to lose this base, but he might be able to attack down and kill the 4th. And if he does that, there's basically no mining.
That is true. What an odd game.
Yeah, it really is. This one it's playing out so differently than what I had imagined.
It's a weird because it's like a super supply-heavy, scrappy game, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, they're definitely battling for every inch on this map, and there's a lot of things going right and a lot of things going wrong for both players. Look at this, a huge...
Yeah, now here's the bigger issue, right? Kind of like we talked about in that ZVP, where like if you just kind of contain the Protoss, they lose. It's the same idea here in many aspects because all the gateways are in the main. And in case people are wondering, you know, why didn't he make gateways all over the map like we see in other games? You basically can't. There's nowhere to make gateways. So I think that even though we saw the Protoss kind of get into a really interesting position where maybe he can get the lead, and this command center's gone, by the way, so that's huge. I think that in the long run, Terran can break off a couple tanks here and there, kill off the bottom 2 bases, kill off this attack of Dragoons.
Yeah.
And the only thing the Protoss can do is rely on Arbiters to try and do recalls, and I don't know how effective that's going to be. Here's your Ghost, Tastosis. Look at him go.
They've really not done much this game, have they? We haven't even seen one lockdown
I
yet.
didn't know. It's been 23 years. I didn't know they could attack until this game, Artosis. I'm totally surprised.
Oh, are we calling that an attack, Tastosis? That's not doing any damage.
Yeah, I thought it's just like a spellcaster that can attack. That's wild to me. So, here. Now, he actually abandons the contain, which I think might be really dangerous. Well, because now this army can actually move out.
Royal is barely mining. He's got some mineral patches left of that 3rd, so maybe he just feels like he needs to end these bases, and then he's... Well, I didn't even know you could get tanks
I didn't know you could go down there.
That's sick.
What?
I played this map like 10 times a day.
I had
no idea.
That's called the map's belly button right there.
Oh my God.
I didn't know about that. You can hit both those bases, Artosis.
Yeah, that's sick. All right.
Everybody else has been sieging at the ramp and then unsieging and going to the other ramp, but not him.
No, that's actually kind of amazing. I mean, if they don't have any cannons on the sides there or high templars on the high ground, that's an efficient way to kill both bases. My God.
Now, Terran still has a mining third base, which is really important because, you know, Protoss, I see probes moving there, but I think it's mined out or is literally on the very, very brink of mining out. In fact, I think it's not mining. I think it's just workers mining gas. I don't know. I'm trying to, like, judge boxes on the mini-map here, but
yeah.
The point is that even if you're low on minerals, if you're getting just an iota of minerals for the next, you know, minute or two here, you can make a few more units, which can help a lot.
Not enough for a recall yet. I think that's what he was looking for, to maybe try to kill off these tanks that are all sieging him, but he's going to lose both the Nexuses. Guemchi coming down with the main bulk of his army. Well, I mean, you got to do what you got to do there. I think he has enough to kill these tanks, but he lost both the Nexuses, so it's not really that useful.
You're going to get to the belly button here? I mean, let's find out.
Well, drags a mine onto those three. The defense matrix really making that tank worthwhile. More units coming in for a reinforcement, so I think we're just about at the end of what was a really exciting and cool game.
Yeah, he's not going to get those belly button tanks, man.
No, those are going to live forever.
One of the first things I learned, you get there, that's how you get somebody pregnant, Artosis. So those tanks are fine. There's a couple more units coming up. It is a bit of a back and forth, but, you know, ultimately, this is a great game, by the way. In all seriousness,
yeah.
I really enjoyed this. You know, the Terran, it was able to kind of rely on the, you know, that few bit of minerals, and by the way, the third base is mining out now, to get that, and now he can pull back and basically wait for whatever base Protoss gets. And look at the Protoss's money. It's not really going up. We've got probes long distance mining, so he can't afford a Nexus. If he gets enough probes to return the Nexus, all Terran has to do is find that spot and attack in. And even if Protoss were to counterattack and kill their other command center, it doesn't matter. You go back and kill that after, float a CC there, and that would be GG.
All right, so Royal does end up taking down Guemchi, but that was like much closer than I thought it would be, especially after such a strong opener. That was like the best opener where the game wasn't over from a Terran on that map that I've seen in ASL. So, like a great opener. I think that Royal played very well, and Guemchi, like the broad strokes were good, but there were some mistakes. There were a few blunders there with shuttles and things.
Sure, yeah. I mean, sometimes the most fun StarCraft games are the ones that are crazy like that. Like,
yeah.
There are some people that will be critical, like, oh, I can't believe they made these mistakes and what's going on. And I think that's the wrong way to look at it. That was actually a lot of fun. It was a very human experience for most StarCraft players to kind of see the insanity, unfold there. But look, props to Royal. I think the better player did win. I think it's always fun to explore late game on a map like Eclipse. Like, there's so many things you have to understand and appreciate about it.
Yeah.
And that was one of them, man.
Well, that was such an excellent game. We are going to go to a quick commercial break, and when we come back, Royal against the upsetter ggaemo to see who advances to the next round.
ASL 시즌 13 Unlimited.
We're back. It's time to go to, it's only game 3, right?
Yeah, we're having some long
yeah, this
games.
is the winner's match.
Dude, what a great night.
I had to stop myself. Yeah, great games, a great night. Royal definitely is going to need to have stamina after that match. And, I'm very interested in how this is going to go. Obviously, there are not that many parallels you can draw from a PVZ and a PVT. You know, but, honestly, I think Royal's got his tough road ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a tough game. Going up against ggaemo, I'm trying to think, like, I mean, ggaemo has a pretty big range of what he can do in this matchup. I don't think that this is his strongest matchup. I think he's actually a little bit better Zerg versus Protoss than Zerg versus Terran, but I've definitely seen him put out some strong, crazy Zerg builds. Those aren't as popular right now as they were 6 months ago, but I could see him doing something like that. But let's see what map it is first, actually. I didn't catch it yet.
Yeah, I guess the map will have to be a big factor. Metaverse, okay. Well, there's, certainly some interesting ideas that could be at play here on a map like this.
Dude, this
with
is
the temples there.
Yeah.
Maybe being destroyed by lurkers. Maybe there's some cool factory floats, or I don't know, just some weird stuff.
Yeah, I bet you, Tasteless, it'll be a tech build from Royal, because this is definitely a map where you could jump a drone and just get a free gas.
Yeah, absolutely. Siege tanks, you could go mech and blow up the temples and siege tanks or lurkers. I don't know. There's a lot that could happen. We're going to see what that will be as we go into Game 3.
메타버스에서 게임을 시작합니다.
Okay, Royal in the top right in the orange. And in the off-white, we have ggaemo.
Yeah, so I guess the positionally, here's my guess, Tasteless, is positionally this is probably good for Royal because they both share that 12 o'clock, because that's what I was thinking. Like, let's say that they're vertical spawns, right? And ggaemo just jumps a drone to like 6 or 12. How does Terran attack that? That's really difficult to attack, right? Like, mutas come out and you can't really go dropship, and then suddenly Zerg just has this like completely free gas that they don't even have to put a lurker at, and that could become very tough. But here, like, yeah, you could get over there. You could do something like do a 2 centimeter dropship or mine through or something like that. So this is an 8 racks opener from Royal, and we can't tell yet. But like I was mentioning, I wouldn't be surprised if Royal goes for a tech build because of the layout of this map. So we'll see about that pretty shortly here.
Yeah, when you see the first couple buildings come down and you see this walling off the natural, it's easy to assume that the Terran's going to expand, but there's a lot of weird tech stuff you can do behind this too.
Yeah, 8 racks factory builds are pretty popular. Like, 8 racks is kind of split down the middle, honestly, where half the time with 8 racks you see just a command center follow-up, and the other half you see the factory. And then, they can tech up. You can even go right into Starport and then go for your command center, right, and get like a Wraith out and stuff like that. But we'll see what Royal wants to go for. If he's going to get gas, it's going to be really soon.
Yeah, I would love to see the gas. We don't see that yet. So maybe this is just going to be an expand build, but I do want to point out the positions here are actually pretty good for the Terran. I mean, you have basically a direct line to the Zerg's natural. You can generate a lot of threats here and still play, honestly, a pretty safe game. So the way these builds are pairing, I do like this for the Terran here. Can you get that Overlord in time?
No. I'm surprised he's even attacking it.
Okay, I was going to ask you, like, why is he doing that?
Yeah, I honestly don't know, because I've never played this map, but I can tell easily that he wasn't going to get that Overlord, so it feels like he could already have a Marine here harassing drones.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, is I saw that. No, same thing for me, man. I thought...
You don't even play either of these races, and you knew he wasn't going to get that Overlord, so I don't know what world we're in right now.
He can't get behind those minerals, right? Like, that's not possible. Like, maybe I don't understand this map now.
Okay, well, that was a good drone drill. He already got one of the Marines. Ooh, a drone goes down there. Very nice. Oh!
The SCV block is insane, man.
Yeah. I think the rush is pretty much over. Like, it just it started slightly late, and then a good micro there from ggaemo. After all that, it is my opinion that ggaemo is just slightly ahead. That's what it looks like to me right here.
That ggaemo is just slightly ahead?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not. This is not end of the
okay.
world for Royal, but I don't think he did enough damage there.
Well, it was surprising to see him go for the Overlord.
Yeah.
In my own experience, not that my tournament experience compares to pros, but I've been in important matches to me, and like I start to do something, and then I'm like, I don't think this is going to work, but I just do it because I've already gotten like a third of the way through what would be the action. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like your Corsairs go after Overlords over 40 Hydras.
yeah, exactly. like it was one of those moments where he started attacking the Overlord, and I'm like, this can't. And for a second, I want to be like, Artosis, well, maybe I don't know the map, but you can't get behind the minerals there, right? Like, 'cause that's what I thought. I was casting on this map the whole time, but yeah, he like committed to the Overlord, and the Overlord was like,
yeah,
and gets away.
Well, it's whatever. I mean, he eventually went over there and killed a drone, so it is what it is, I suppose. Teching up right now, getting that very quick eBay, so going to start his +1. And from ggaemo, yeah, third hatch in main. I think they're both putting out a very good game right now. Like, I like the choice from Royal. I feel like Royal's getting very, very good at optimizing certain things. Like the 8 racks into the eBay. That is not something that I think that I've really seen most people just go second barracks if they're going to go bio.
It's
and get the
new
later
to me.
eBay.
I was going to bring that up as well. I thought, okay, maybe this is something new, but yeah, you're saying you're not that familiar with it either. I don't.
No, yeah, no, I never see the eBay that quickly after an 8 barracks, so that's kind of cool. And the thing is, I'm looking at this, and he's not going to get punished for it at all. Like, he's got that decent wall, and he's got enough Marines. Everything's fine. So, I mean, if you can get a slightly quicker +1, that's generally a good thing. So very nice from him, and I think that ggaemo's choice here to go third hatch in main, it's very stable, which is, it's kind of cool to see, because some of the players that we've seen that weren't the bigger name players so far this season took like quite large risks, right, trying to take out some of the bigger name players, whereas ggaemo here against Snow and now against Royal, he's just playing solid.
Yeah, I'm glad you're bringing that up because, we've seen a couple, especially Zergs, like, be super cheesy. And, look, that's your right. You play, however you think. You got this far, man. You made it to ASL. You do you. But it is refreshing to see one of the, lowest tier ASL players really give it his all in, like, proper play and, like, deliver. Like, he already beat Snow.
Yeah.
Who, at periods of time has been, like, top 4 in the world.
Yeah.
And, beat Snow in a very standard StarCraft 1 position, whether that's old play or new play, which was winning versus 2 base, having a lurker contain that basically exhausted the Protoss's minerals. So, yeah, I'm really excited to see this game here against Royal. I mean, if he can beat Royal here, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, that would be so amazing for him. But I think Royal's build matches up well against what ggaemo is doing. The third hatch in main, I was actually talking to Scan recently. He was saying that he thinks that 5 barracks +1 is actually becoming a very good counter against this build, right? Which is like, that was the counter against standard 3 hatch, and that's kind of what we're looking at here after the early scuffles of this game.
It makes sense. There's a kind of sledgehammer feature of this build with Terran where you're kind of just looking for a close target and trying to smash it down. Oh, hold on. He's going to get that turret. This is going to force some of the infantry back.
Dude, look at that cute
What do you
little
think
lance.
happens if Zerg takes the bottom left, though?
Yeah, I think that's like a pretty standard place to expand. And, if 5 racks +1, that's like kind of what the game is trying to deny that when they're taking that faraway base, and then Zerg deciding, do they fight your army, do they counterattack, do they just expand elsewhere and cut their losses? I think that's where, when it's 5 racks +1 against 3 hatch, where that's like where the games are oftentimes won and lost, right? Those are the kind of smaller decisions that are occurring that are really making the difference in this matchup.
So right now, the mutas are basically, like, as you guys can see, they can't really hurt the Terran that much, but if the Terran's to leave with everything, then the mutas can counterattack. So TVZ has a sort of funny thing about positioning where it kind of looks like they're both sort of, their armies stay adjacent.
Yeah.
People don't move that much, and that's because if somebody It's like a Mexican standoff, you know? Like, who's going to fire? They both have your guns pointed at each other. Who's going to fire first? So he's actually, once again, see the Terran leaves, so the Zerg then says, all right, let's go. Generates the threat and then leaves. And all of this allows the Zerg to expand into the bottom left.
And, like, Royal is going to make a really big attack soon, but his scans haven't seen the Hydralisk Den. So there's a possibility that ggaemo is getting the Lurker upgrade right now. And if you just kind of time it out in such a way that Terran isn't quite aware of when your Lurkers are coming, that is a huge game changer against the +1 5-racks, because you basically have to hit right before Lurker.
Right. He did see the Hive is coming. By the way, you can really see how Zerg can take advantage of this very tiny ramp. The Terran has to move directly up it. It creates like a really interesting funnel. I guess all ramps do that on some level, but this is a considerably narrow ramp.
Oh, man.
And
yeah,
you can really punish that.
No, totally. And he's actually, his micro's been fantastic so far. A little bit of a mismove into the bio there. Siege mode is actually on the way, so it looks like we are going to have a tank timing push here from Royal. Not sure if it'll end up working out, but there's already Lurkers out now. So his 5 racks +1 honestly didn't do what it's designed to do this game. He did not really slow down the third base. He did not. He wasn't able to go out on the map. He went midway one time and then had to turn around, and that's it. And now there's Lurkers out. So it's, you know, 5 racks +1. You want more play in the center than that. You want the Mutas to have to come and attack you. You want them to have to make some Zerglings, maybe make some extra Sunkens. And I mean, he's still got a good force. It's not like he lost a ton of bio. He lost some, but oh god.
Whoa.
Okay, that's almost
there?
game. Okay, so when you make 2 siege tanks for a push, and they get one, it's the worst thing in the whole world.
He's got to put the tank in the dropship and become Bunny. And
I know.
Here.
I was just thinking that.
It shows you how many times we've casted that guy's game in StarCraft 2. So,
oh my god.
Yeah, I can't believe this. He's just going to kill all the tanks, and like the tanks really are like the centerpiece for the timing. Like he just killed that all off, and now. Honestly, guys, it's like the Terran is lost at sea.
Yeah. He has nothing going on. He doesn't have a vessel. And we have Lurkers out. We have Hive up. ggaemo should win this. Well, that wasn't very good.
Okay, so all the Mutas are killed. That's certainly something. But, you know, I don't know that he can actually break through just even a couple of Lurkers. He may try to, like, elevator these units up here, like ferry the Marines and medics in sets of 8 up to the main.
Yeah, I like this move. Like, Royal is doing what he can with what he has. Like, all of his tanks died. He doesn't have a vessel, but he's making some things happen. He's going to get the Hydralisk Den here, loads up another dropship.
He's going to get the spawning pool, by the way, which is like, all attacking units,
Yeah, you can't make anything anymore, really. And look at this, dropping behind these minerals. Oh my god. This, like, he is making wine out of water right now, or water out of wine if he's parched. I don't know, but it is special what he's doing here.
Oh my god. Okay, so this attack is kind of unbelievably... I mean, it's a really good play by him. I don't think he can win the game from here, but let's see. I mean, that was a lot of damage he did to the Zerg.
He did.
Had the Zerg been a little bit more prepped for the drop, I think we might see Royal already tapping out. But the game goes on.
Well, it was the Mutas that
the
Mutas he flew over the army. They were going home to defend drops. Like, you
If
transition your
Mutas
Mutas to drop defense eventually, and he lost them all at the last second. So very unfortunate for ggaemo there, which allows Royal back into it a little bit.
Okay, and attacking over here. These Lurkers are not really well positioned. Not that it mattered, apparently. I mean, it's easy to forget how much those eggs kind of force your stuff to bunch up. And so, we're going to sit back here. We've still got Zerg on 3 bases. Now, Terran is taking this bottom right expansion, and I don't know that Zerg is going to be looking there. I think the Zerg is probably... with the Overlord outside, it's actually that Overlord that was damaged at the start of this game. It's still there. and it's waiting for the third base there. So there's a chance that ggaemo just doesn't really check the right spots, and Terran gets to third base, and Zerg is unaware of the position that he's in.
Yeah, but ggaemo, it seems like his plan right now is to try to push down that ramp and take his own fourth base, which is kind of the important thing to do here, right? Like, you really need that fourth gas so you can continue your Defiler production while still getting your upgrades and ultras. Some pressure coming down, though. All right, throws a Plague down. Nice, nice. He can start grinding a little bit with Plague. And, I mean, the Irradiates are good so far, but don't forget, these are late vessels. He was trying to go for a tank push. He made a drop ship. And when you go tank push, obviously you're getting your second starport a lot later. So he doesn't have as many Irradiates as people would be used to seeing by now. And, in fact, he's already going into battle cruisers. So that's a whole nother thing. He's going to just have to stay really active everywhere with very few vessels.
So, he's getting close to maybe being able to get in there. He's irradiating the Zerg. This at least forces the Zerg to make some more lurkers. You're trading energy for Zerg gas. But I'm really interested with, this bottom right base, as that may be Royal's big saving grace. Just having this and the fact that Zerg isn't really able to engage it. And we're getting to that moment where the matchup flips as far as growth, where suddenly the Terran is going to have more bases, and it's really the Zerg struggling to get a fourth base up, where the Terran may already be taking a fifth.
Yeah, definitely the macro here of Royal is kicking in a little bit. He's doing a great job taking these additional bases. Getting the third gas, you can start to really get a lot of battle cruisers out if that's the road that you want to walk down. It's like a little push out here from the natural with that Dark Swarm. Easily pushes back the small amount of Marine Medic.
Now, Zerg's getting a fourth up here, but Terran is really starting to get a lot of control of the map, and the issue for Zerg is that Zerg's going to try to advance from two fronts, one in the north, one in the south, but you can suddenly see where the stress is really put on the Zerg as they actually try to move around on the map itself. Terran could simply stim, run in, and attack, and then run back out if the threat of a Dark Swarm is there.
But Ultra's now starting to join the field, right? So when you get those Ultras out, this becomes a little bit more difficult. Zerg can actually start to chase down your bio armies, and you have to clump a little bit more together, which can be problematic, right? Like, this is where 4 gas is really going to kick in. But hold on, he actually comes in with these Irradiates. Ooh, this is a little bit juicy. He has a good amount of vessels now. His vessel retention has actually been very, very good.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy. When you get enough vessels, you're going to see Irradiates every, 10, 15 seconds. And, one of the easiest ways to kind of tell how a Terran's doing in this matchup is if they just keep the vessels alive for a long time. You could start to get like a whole control group of vessels, and then you're probably making dropships and hitting everywhere on the map. Zerg, though, has broken free. I don't know what the defensive position is like. They're those dropships. I don't know what the position's like at the bottom right. Is there actually bunkers in defense there?
There's a couple bunkers.
Okay.
And that's about it. Like, it'll slow like a first force that comes in, and that's about all. Well, I mean,
I love seeing this when Terran pop the Marines out and stem and then run back inside. They can't stem up inside of the bunker.
I love that the lurkers just walked by while everything else died.
Yeah. Everything else tanks for the lurkers.
Yeah.
So he's going to do a big drop here. Actually, there's more Scourge here than I really realized.
Oh, man. Oh, he actually only kills one of the dropships. Okay, I mean, that's not bad. 3 dropships of Marine Medic. Getting right in there. They have +3 attack, but Ultraling's starting to come up. That is a good way to clear it, but it's not that much Ultraling. And he is behind on upgrades. It's only 3 carapace.
Not just that, but, the way the Lings came out, it kind of acted like a funnel. And the targeting here is pretty good. I think he's going to disappear these 2 Ultras and maybe disappear that Spire as well.
Yeah, this is suddenly going very heavily towards Royal. I got to say, I think that ggaemo definitely outdid him in the early game. But at this point, Royal has a lot of bases. This drop doing fantastically. Anytime you kill the Spire, you feel like $1 million. He's retained the vessel count really quite well, so he has a lot of those in play still. And I mean, he's going to switch to Battlecruiser at some point. He's had that physics lab for a long time.
Yeah, he's been sitting on that tech for a while now. You know, this really is a game that exhibits the beauty of the unintended comeback mechanics of Brood War, where like Zerg was ahead, but Terran just kind of plowed through by doing more and being faster.
Yeah.
And kind of got ahead anyways, like really turned the late game dilemma into an opportunity.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. And you saw some of those moments, like for instance the mutas flying over the bio. Like that's a huge deal because then suddenly the drops started doing well. If your mutas are there, they don't do as well, and that helps Royal to do even more. And at the end of the day, suddenly Royal is out multitasking ggaemo. He's absolutely everywhere. Very impressive stuff from Royal.
Yeah, and another drop over here, and unfortunately for the Zerg, this is right where the Spire is. So, like, the moment he's going to have some kind of Scourge, or could have Scourge out, I think that Spire could be killed off. Oh, hold on. Zerg has enough on the ground to take that fight. But again, I think we're starting to see the Zerg really fall apart here.
Yeah, I think he's just about dead now. The Battlecruiser's really helping him to finish everything off. The fact that Royal has 4 bases, and look at his money. It's low. His macro is insane right now.
I mean, he's really killing it here. And, you know, for once in the whole game of StarCraft, we're going to see air units take a fight to Spores and win. Spores may be the best building in the game, Tastosis.
Yeah. Battlecruiser with Defense Matrix, none too shabby, though.
That's right. You know, Zerg right now is back down to 3 bases. I think the tech has all been put back together again. But, you know, Terran is now up here. I think a Dark Swarm may buy some time as the Spire goes down. But, again, Terran just pulls away. It's why it's important that Zerg has, you know, some kind of area with Sunken colonies, and it's narrow with Dark Swarm and Lurkers. Otherwise, Terran just sort of outmaneuvers, zigs and zags, and then punishes later.
Yeah, and at this point, it's just like a rally down towards the bottom left. Units are coming in single file. The Battlecruiser's just adding too much damage with that air support. And ggaemo should be GGing any moment here. Yeah.
All right, GG.
Yeah, Royal.
I say I was a little bit excited to see ggaemo go first, but Royal, or sorry, to go first. But, you know, it was impressive.
Yeah. And I have to say, like, there's no question, ggaemo was ahead there for a while. He was playing really, really well. When he sniped the tanks, it's very hard to come back from that because you don't have vessels. Those tanks were like the linchpin of your strategy. But the drops that Royal got off really paid huge dividends. And ggaemo just couldn't quite keep up. You could tell that Royal is just a much faster player.
I don't want to count this guy out, though. I mean, he looked really good. I feel like there was maybe like 45 seconds where he sort of didn't hit all his marks when he pretty much had won, you know, after the tanks were killed. And I think he could have won that game. But Royal, you know, he's a tenacious guy. He fought hard. He's been fighting hard in every one of his games. And he moves on.
Yeah. We'll be getting an interview from him just momentarily here, but I'm very happy to have a third Terran in that round of 16 so far. Hopefully we can grab another. Here we
ASL
go with that
시즌
interview.
24강 기조 경기 함께하고 계십니다. 오늘의 첫 번째 16강 진출자 김지성 선수와 함께하겠습니다. 축하드립니다.
감사합니다.
김지성 선수 새 시즌 연속 16강 진출에 성공하셨습니다. 순간순간 위기들은 물론 있었지만 김지성 선수 시즌을 거듭할수록 더욱더 노련하고 단단해진 듯한 경기력을 보여주셨는데요. 소감이 어떠신가요?
근데 오늘 솔직히 경기력이 좀 마음에 안 들어가지고 제가 첫 판에 고스트를 뽑다가 제가 이거를 방송 경기에서 언젠가 한 번은 써야겠다 생각하다가 이번에 갑자기 딱 상황이 나오는 거예요.
네.
쓸 생각이 없었는데 쓰려다 보니까 거기서 제가 너무 말려가지고 그때부터 뭐 전체적으로 뒷경기까지 다 말린 것 같은데 조금 더 보완을 해야 될 것 같아요. 시즌적인 부분.
3팩 이후 공격이 생각만큼 잘 풀리지 않으면서 김지성 선수, 김승현 선수와의 경기에서 살짝 당황도 했지만 결국에는 이 상대 자원줄 4시, 5시 월티를 완벽하게 좀 파괴하면서 승리를 가져가셨습니다.
네네.
이 두 번째 김경모 선수의 경기 역시 저그전 워낙 잘하는 김지성 선수지만 이 드랍십이 없었다면 또 조금은 어려웠을 수도 있는 상황이었어요.
네, 초반에 제가 서플라이를 분명히 지어놨는데 또 안 지어져 있고 이상한 실수를 해버린 거예요. 제가 절대 안 하는 실수인데 평소에. 그래가지고 그때부터도 또 뭔가 자꾸 말려가지고 게임이 좀 힘들었는데 다행히 제가 중요 포인트를 그래도 안 놓치고 잘 한 덕분에 이길 수 있었던 것 같아요.
이번 시즌 16강에 현재까지 올라와 있는 선수들 중에 이 김지성 선수가 3번째 테란입니다.
네.
그만큼 이번 시즌 좀 테란의 약대가 조금은 이어지고 있다라고 봐야 할 것 같은데 테란으로서 좀 이번 시즌 어떤 모습 보여주고 싶으신가요?
근데 이번 시즌뿐만 아니라 테란이 계속 좀 힘든 시기를 보내고 있는데 저는 이번에 제가 지금까지 ASL 시즌 5번째 참가하면서 24강, 16강, 8강 계속 순서대로 올라가고 있거든요.
맞습니다.
그래서 이번 시즌은 무조건 4강 이상 가고 싶고 지금 제 실력 자체도 제일 좋은 폼인 것 같아가지고
네.
한번 잘해보도록 하겠습니다.
이번 시즌 김지성 선수가 과연 시드를 획득할 수 있을지 저 역시 무척 좀 기대가 되는데요. 마지막으로 팬분들에게도 한 말씀 남겨주시죠.
최근에 이제 제가 ATL이나 뭐 종족 체관전 등등에서 좀 좋은 모습을 많이 보여드려가지고 오늘 기대하셨던 분들이 많을 텐데 또 올라가긴 했지만 좀 경기력이 좀 실망스러웠던 것 같아요. 다음엔 더 보완해서 오겠고 그리고 네, 더 잘해보겠습니다. 오늘.
네, 오늘 진출 다시 한번 축하드리고요. 인터뷰 고맙습니다.
감사합니다.
자, ASL 시즌 13 24강 D조 경기 첫 번째 16강 진출자 김지성 선수와 함께했습니다. 저희는 잠시 후에 장윤철 선수와 김승현 선수의 패자전으로 돌아오겠습니다.
힘들어도
어려워도 이렇게 멈추면 내가 아니지.
오늘이 보여.
새로운 나를 만든다.
나의 레벨은 다르다. 어너더 레벨 핫6.
어려워도 이렇게 멈추면 내가 아니지. 오늘이 모여 새로운 나를 만든다. 나의 레벨은 다르다. 어너더 레벨 핫6.
Group D continues on. We are ready for the losers match. Now, we finally had some real upsets in this ASL. Excuse me. Snow is now down in the losers match, which is kind of crazy. I mean, I think a lot of people would agree he was probably viewed as the best player in this group. I think he's probably going to be fine and win this, and then go up against his nemesis now, the guy that just beat him. But what do you think, Tastosis?
Well, I think that Snow is still favored to get out of the group, to be honest. Like, we had a great game from ggaemo against him, but now he's going up against guemchi. And, I mean, PvP does have a little bit of randomness that can occur, right? Like, we might see that Snow choose the wrong build and die to guemchi. It's possible, but I don't think it's that likely, right?
You know, Snow's been on top of his game during periods where Protoss was really kind of on top of its race, you know, here in Korea. So I feel like his PvP is going to be top-notch. Now, we are going to go to Monopoly. It's going to be fun to see how these guys open up on this. You know, PvP it's a funny matchup because often you're always giving up something if you're going for any tech at all. You know what I'm saying? You can never have it all, really, so it makes for a fun kind of poker game-ish matchup. Anyways, we're going to talk more about that as we go into the game. The losers match has started. Let's get this PvP underway.
모노폴리에서 게임을 시작합니다.
And so we have Snow there in the top left of Monopoly, and over at 3 o'clock, guemchi. So our 3-player map. So I mean, it's a ramped map with a pretty regular looking natural, right? With those kind of eggs on the sides. What do you think
Right.
as far as openers? Is there any, like, I mean, if we were on Gladiator, I would just flip a coin, a 3-sided coin, to figure out who was going to win this. But you know, on a map like this, you know, there's a lot of play.
You know, it does seem like that. I mean, you know, when you have maps where there's not a ramp, then you end up with a lot more, excuse me, pressure builds that can happen. It is a fairly big ramp, if my memory serves me correct. We'll have a shot of it in a second, you know, because I haven't played this map, to be totally frank with everybody. But so, you know, it's a little bit harder to do very tight teching like you can on a map like Fighting Spirit or Eclipse. But probably especially Fighting Spirit, because at least on Eclipse, it's a one-on-one map. If you want to scout them, you always can.
Yeah.
You know, and get in their base. On bigger maps, you know, you have to put a little bit more work in to block it off to stop a probe from getting in. You know, if I can be honest with you, Artosis, I'm not really sure what kind of game we can have with that. It seems like there could be a lot of different types of games from that, if that makes sense. You know, I don't know how pushable the expansion is either, but you know, I think it could go any way, man. I don't know. It doesn't seem like this favors one play over another. Maybe you wouldn't want to do like a 3-gate goon all-in.
Yeah.
You know, it would be hard to rush up the ramp, so maybe we can count that out, you know?
Yeah. Like with those eggs and stuff, man. Like, honestly, the ramps become a little bit more glitchy when they have things like eggs on them. You know what I mean? There's like, it's a little bit harder to control there. So yeah, I would definitely agree with you that this has to be like tech openers overall.
Yeah, it would seem like it. Like, you certainly can't just kind of clobber them, you know, with some kind of a rush here.
Yeah.
And so we're going to have that first scouting probe come in here for Snow. You know, and it's not going to be 2-gate. I've been enjoying 2-gate openings, but it doesn't seem like that's really caught on in Korea.
Yeah.
Very much it's about the 1-gate play, and he actually goes for the Manor Pylon, which will probably be a cancel since the Zealot's out, but this does, in fact, slow the player who's been Manor Pylon down. It looks weird.
If the Zealot's already out, is it still worth it?
Yeah.
Do you have to trap a probe to make it worth it, or...?
Yes, yes. It only works if you trap a probe. You have to consider the fact that, you know, for each mineral that's not returned, and the probes that go all the way behind, it's more expensive for the player who got Manor Pylon than it is for the player who's doing it, because the cancel's 25 minerals.
Yeah. And a pylon is 32 seconds to build, right?
I think so. And I actually don't know for pylons.
It's 7 or 8 seconds to mine, so you're missing 4 mining cycles at 8 minerals apiece, so 24 minerals minimum. And then it might displace other probes from mining perfectly. So yeah, no, I guess you're right. It's just
50 or
yeah, if you cancel at the last second, it's at least paid for itself if you trap one.
Yeah. Now, if you let it finish, then you're going to lose money because they kill a pylon. We should note that it's not free. I mean, everybody knows that, but it's easy to forget when you're thinking about how much, in this case, the Red Protoss lost with mining. Like, those are minerals that could have gone into your own build order. Now, in this game, Snow went for 2-gate goon. Now, this is different from 3-gate goon. A 2-gate goon, you can put on pressure, and you're not halting your tech.
And, like, obviously it's a quicker robo here for guemchi. Is there anything in particular he can do with that quicker robo that will make his build come out significantly better? Like, if you go, let's say direct Reaver or something like that?
You know, he could do that. I think he's kind of forced to get the robo because he doesn't know what's going on. There's a probe that might try to run into the main here. He is doing good scouting by seeing the 2 goons come out at a time, but you know, he basically doesn't know what's happening, and that really means he has to be a little bit worried about DTs here. But let's see, does he actually get an obs? No, he's going to do kind of the pro gamer opposite of this when you don't know. So let me see if I can break this down. Basically, a lot of times if you stop their tech, or let me start over, actually. If you stop them from scouting you at all, you force them into a robo, so a lot of players get an observer. So what the player who has not been scouted yet does is they'll expand quickly and play it safe. And so that's why guemchi's not scouting and doing a Reaver all-in, is he's confident that there's no way that Snow is going to go DT in this particular situation. And he also sees goons coming out, right? So unless it's that one build that you and me have talked about for years, Tastosis, which is like 2-gate goon, range into DT, which does beat some really good players.
Yeah.
It's that you don't have to worry about that. Now in this game, I'm sorry, he's not going to do any kind of all-in. He's just going straight into Reaver and not respecting any DT threat in that way. And I actually thought it was going to be, guemchi pushing Snow, but Snow's also going to expand with this. So in fact, what they're both doing is playing it super safe, delaying everything.
Okay.
And expanding later. So I apologize for totally misreading that.
It's all right. Now, I mean, obviously guemchi's build is like just slightly ahead, right? The Robo is a little bit quicker, the Observer a little bit quicker, the Nexus a little bit quicker, but Snow is kind of trying to zone out any incoming Observer. Oh, he might be able to catch it. No. They split ways immediately.
You got to be careful with that first Observer. It's very easy for the defending player to catch it. And, the Robo tech is so important, especially if you're both going Robo, that to drop one means you have to use that Robo to then reproduce another Observer. He just wants to kind of see, all right, is there actually a Nexus here? There is. And basically after he... Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say after he gave up on scouting...
Like, yeah, the observers are flying, Tastosis. They're invisible. You can't hit them unless you have observers to see them. That's what I was going to say, Tastosis.
It was very good. I'm glad I stopped talking for that. That was people would be lost without that. So they both basically got their observers in here, and they're both aware of their positions now, which is important, man. On this map, if you look at the way it's shaped, it's not easy to get the obs over there. Certainly not for Snow to get his obs over to the expansion area of guemchi. And this is becoming a pretty close game. I mean, they're both teching up. Nobody's going to back out of going Goon Reaver for a while. If you both do this, you're kind of stuck doing it. In fact, sometimes you'll see players throw down more gates and just try to really lean into it and cut probes.
Yeah, on 2 base, how many gates can you go with Goon Reaver?
About 6.
Damn. That's a lot of production.
With Reavers, yeah, and you're just... eventually if this game goes on long enough, one player or both will get a Citadel and a Forge, but for now, you're kind of trying to match the power of the other side and maybe look for an engagement. Because, Goon Reaver is a funny thing. All the units are clunky and strong, and so he actually gets shuttle speed, and he just comes in here, and he should get a pretty good probe hit. Oh. Not as many as I thought, though.
I think 3?
Oh my god!
Wow.
He did the fake. He left, and he knew that Snow was going to be fast and send his probes back, and he used that to set up for a huge kill. And now guemchi should just play a safe game from here on out. Oh, dude, what?
Oh, God. His units are so far out of position there. He's going to run up this ramp, but Snow going to pick off a few units here at least, puts a bunch of damage down. Shuttle going into the main base now. Snow looking for that counter Reaver drop. Double Reavers coming out.
And, this is not a lot of Dragoons, so now the Reavers no longer have to harass. They can just fight the other Dragoons. Because a lot of the army's kind of stuck up here. Well, hold on a second. Snow's going to go all the way around. This is super risky.
This is kind of crazy, because don't forget, guemchi has a bunch of army that he had to run up a ramp to make sure he didn't lose. Now, as Snow hits the pylon in front of his base, guemchi brings that army down, but half of it turned around and went back into that 3rd base location. I feel like guemchi is going to get caught here.
Guemchi's going to try to come across. I mean, basically, Snow realizes he has to do something pretty quickly because he's lost too many probes. So, if he just plays a normal game, his opponent gets further and further ahead. So we've got actually Scarab shots coming down on both of these Reavers, and he wins the fight on the ground. That is insane. And he's got the shuttle here. He could basically juggle this, and there's really nothing that guemchi can do. And guemchi, who tried to do that counterattack, that was parried with ease there. And now Snow is in a position where he can crush this expansion.
Wow, guemchi, I feel like he opened all right, but just got caught out of position with a big chunk of his army, and Snow has been abusing that ever since. The Reaver micro doing fantastically. Look at this supply difference. Even though the rest of this Snow army is going to end up falling, he is still up 25 supply.
Yeah, even though he lost those probes earlier on, look at that. He has all the building blocks he needs as far as an army. And he certainly has more probes than his opponent. I mean, the supplies, like you highlighted, Tastosis, that really tells it all. And, you know, guemchi's on his back foot. Snow's going to move out once more. And he basically wants to try to put a pin on him. I think this is not enough. He's probably going to need to wait for a couple more Dragoons. But it looks like guemchi backs up something like 9 Dragoons over there to those 2 for a second. Just leaves.
Yeah, looks like Snow trying to get another Reaver drop off, but guemchi is going to be able to push that back. Has another shuttle out here with Reaver. And I mean that's a small force for Snow. That's that's the let me make sure that my slow shuttle can get away force of Dragoons right there.
Right. So this is a funny looking thing, but this is the way to do it, is that you just keep dropping the Reaver. For Snow's position, it's better. You know, guemchi has to kind of submit in this position and just try to play this little game of dropping Reavers, because if he doesn't, his Reaver is going to get sniped, and then the tactic is then when Snow sees an opening, he runs in with his Dragoons and tries to gain ground by threatening the shuttle. So it's this kind of funny thing to watch because it just looks weird. But watch, he's going to set it up again here. He's going to wait for the opening. And guemchi's got a good spread.
It's so funny to watch Snow actually utilize these Reavers. He's just so smooth with them. Watching him just pick off these pylons and force all sorts of lost scarabs.
So it looks like guemchi has the tempo in that, and he's going to come in here and actually, I can't believe, not shoot down that shuttle that was so close to death. But he can save his Reaver again.
Yeah, another Reaver actually slow walked all the way up to this natural
crawling Reaver.
Seriously.
It does help to have your Reaver pointed at them. It does fire a little bit faster.
Yeah.
The Reaver is somehow kind of like a Warcraft 3 hero or something, where it's like got a turn.
Yeah, there's actually a few units like that. Like the turret on the tank has to do that, and actually the science vessel, you have to have its little thing on the top, you know, pointed towards where it's going to cast its spell. It's kind of a funny thing, but it adds more interesting micro, I think, as well. Just like
I
a little
think
bit
so.
more
I
depth.
actually hope that future RTS games take advantage of these little features. Like, you know, the unit has to turn and actually be there. You can micro that a little bit more and turn it ahead of time.
Yeah, Dragoons are kind of freaks when you think about it. It doesn't even matter where they're situated. They always can shoot, you know?
Yeah.
That's
Unless
not
you're really
normal,
trying to make them
Faceless.
do something and then they can't shoot or move. But yeah.
It matters how badly you need it at the time.
Yeah, it matters how much you want them to do something, and then that's when they can't do it. Just to be clear.
Absolutely.
So he's going to come in here. Now, you know, keep in mind that if you're not watching your Reaver, that Scarab's going to hit them and kill them. And if you're not watching your shuttle, it won't drop. Okay, here we go. Now he's going to come in here, and I got to say this, man. Snow may have taken a winning position and just completely thrown.
Dude,
by
that
trying
was
to be
Super
Mario with that shuttle and Reaver and not watching.
He's being Super Mario with his because they're jumping back in or something.
Yeah, he's trying. It's crazy. He's like he's like jumping on the turtle shells over at guemchi's expansion, and then he goes back and he has no workers, and it's like, yeah, dude.
Yeah. He's trying to get one-ups, but like he never dies anyways, so why does he need all these one-ups?
That's right. He's trying to get one-ups, but this is single limb, actually. Like, there's not a best of 3 here. It is funny. I mean, if you know, the observer was watching that little the Reaver dogfight, and it's funny because like it looks kind of weird. I mean, we're seeing it happen again here, but you really can't leave your screen when this is happening. You know. And so, at moments like that, even guemchi, who didn't drop right away, he like gets over there. He's like, "Oh, good, there's nothing over here. All right."
Now, Snow is actually still up 20 supply. Like, is he? Who's actually ahead here? Because it felt like guemchi did a lot of probe damage.
I think that technically Snow is still ahead. I think he lost some workers, but it's 3 bases, right? And, you know, contain is a thing even in PvP. It's hard to get all your Dragoons, you know, and Shuttle Reaver to kind of move out. This area gives you almost I think literally 180 degrees of attack area for Dragoons if you're on the outside. So, I mean, you're always going to win that if you're the guy containing, if you have the right number of units. And we should point out that, like, you know, both sides leaned into just Reaver.
Yeah.
So
this is
go ahead.
This is almost so silly. Like the way that this, like, Snow is just keeping him in his choke because it's so dirty to come out against Reavers. So then they just both jump them in and out over and over, and it's almost like who is gonna blink first and take the Scarab onto the Reavers. But look, this has happened so many times now. They've actually spent hundreds of minerals on this.
This is true, actually. If there was a graph we could see for how much money has been spent on Scarabs, it would be hilarious.
Yeah, Scarabs are cheap, especially when you think of them in the context of killing workers. But, like, for instance, to kill a pylon costs the same amount as a pylon, basically. Wow. Well, that sucked.
Yeah, I think guemchi can't win this anymore. You know, Snow's, you know, he had some bumps in this game, but he kind of, sort of like the, you know, the previous game where we saw Royal win. It's like, nah, this guy's a pro. He sort of knows what he needs to do even when he gets behind. I do wonder if this would have gone better if Zealot's speed had been upgraded more quickly from guemchi. Zealot's speed, even though Reavers are pretty good against, you know, speed lots, at least having something to draw the Scarabs out. And you can see here, look at the congestion for guemchi. Like, there's Dragoons that are just not serving any purpose here. The Reaver's stuck on the outside. He's going to say GG. He's aware he lost this game.
Yeah, this is not a winnable position. It looks like Snow is going to be able to take him down. I think guemchi didn't play that poorly or anything. He is the first eliminated out of the group, which is not a big surprise. But, yeah, I'm not really disappointed with his play. There was definitely some messiness and everything, but again, like the broad strokes, he plays really well.
You know, they both went into Shuttle Reaver, and that does mean that the contain is king. You know, if you get the contain first and they're sitting on 4 Reavers, like, and you have them surrounded, as long as you don't die too much to drops. And we even saw that game, like, Snow lost a lot to drops, but it doesn't matter. He has 3 Nexuses. He has the only exit. I mean, you know, props to Snow. But, dude, he's not out of the woods yet, and I'll tell you what, man. He's having to do a lot of work just to survive in Group D right now.
Well, he's going to get his revenge match, at least, going up against ggaemo next. ggaemo did put out just a beautiful Zerg vs. Protoss versus him last time. But we're going to be on a new map. We don't know which map yet. They have to do their vetoes during the commercial break. But, you know, I got to say, I do think that Snow is still favored here.
I think you're probably right. Guys, tiny little break, and when we come back, the final game, Group D.
Never backing down. Hard work till they put me in the dirt. So you're gonna learn. I've been coming up hot for a minute. Everybody let it drop when I'm in it. Everybody let it drop when I'm in it. I've been coming up hot for a minute.
힘들어도
어려워도 이렇게 멈추면 내가 아니지.
오늘이 보여.
새로운 나를 만든다.
나의 레벨은 다르다. 어나더 레벨 핫6.
어려워도 이렇게 멈추면 내가 아니지. 오늘이 모여 새로운 나를 만든다. 나의 레벨은 다르다. 어나더 레벨 핫6.
ASL 시즌 13 Unlimited.
Okay, the final game in Group D is ready to start. We've got a rematch here, and you know, one I'm excited to see, man. I'm curious how guemchi can perform in the second game. I mean, you can't just always win with a lurker contain, right? Although I did think he played basically an S-class ZVP from start to finish. Yeah, this should be a fun one.
Yeah, I think so, and it's going to be on that Vermeer map. So not exactly sure.
Vermeer?
Yes, that's right. Not sure exactly how that's going to end up looking. Will Guemchi or Guemchi? Oh my God! I just pulled a Tasteless and like I don't even know who's playing right now. Will ggaemo go for that same type of style against Snow? Again, Snow has to be more ready for it this time.
On Vermeer, B. Remmer.
Reamrev.
Yeah, the V is silent, guys. It's Vermeer.
Yeah, you guys didn't know that? Oh my God.
You didn't know the V is silent?
Silent V's,
Oh,
man.
God.
It's a. Let's see who takes the victory here.
버미오에서 게임을 시작합니다.
Okay, we've got Snow in the top left. And in the top right is ggaemo. Did I say guemchi earlier?
No.
Dumb. I think I did call him guemchi earlier. I was telling Tastosis on this break, like these guys, the IDs of these guys, they break my brain.
Yeah.
I can't read them, and I was saying as well, like I've never seen them in the same game, so I can't prove they're not the same person. But
Yeah, they didn't play each other today.
yeah,
Could just
who
be the
knows?
same
I
guy.
think there's only 3 people in this group.
Yeah. I'm like, whoa, he's better at Zerg than he is at Protoss.
Like I wasn't here for the interview. As far as I know, there's a guy going to the bathroom in between games and changing masks and throwing games and winning games.
Yeah. Oh, man.
So we've got the pylon expand, and it looks like it's going to be a gate expand. He's timed it out so that he can snag a mineral and send this worker back and get the gateway out. But really, the late game is what I'm more excited about if we get that far, just because of how well ggaemo played.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if nothing goes wrong, it should end up being a very interesting game, because we know that ggaemo can kind of hold his own in this matchup. By the way, you know, a 4-player map, it's got some of these cool terrain features like those double ramps, right? You know, luckily for ggaemo, Snow does not go through the center because there's actually an arrow pointing to ggaemo's base there, and that seems unfair.
Yeah, I mean, this is a map as well, like the middle of it, we're really going to have to unpack. I think especially like in PvT, this is going to be an interesting one because you do have these like steps that lead up to this high ground area, but it's a very narrow piece of land.
Yeah, it's like you can still go through the center too. You don't have to go there, but those high ground positions can be really tricky areas to play on. It's like a high ground advantage in Brood War is really gigantic.
Yeah, for those of you that you know are from StarCraft 2, we should point out like you can miss in Brood War, and you miss quite a bit from low ground to high ground.
Yeah, you miss like 48% of your shots. So
yeah,
that's that's pretty
half.
high.
I mean,
yeah.
So like a lot of times you just can't fight high ground to low ground. Like it's crazy. So that's something they changed in StarCraft 2. You know, for better, for worse. You know, if you can see up onto the high ground, you can attack it.
Yeah.
But it just makes engagements there a lot trickier. Now, the Lings are coming here. You do... Okay, he has his second Zealot there. I got confused. And so he's got the ramp blocked. That's actually a really perfect block, too, because the Zealot takes up more surface area.
And hits the Nexus a little bit. I mean, he's just looking to maybe get some damage. Attacks that probe a little bit. Oh, that was some good micro from Snow. Dude, sometimes these guys turn probes around so quickly. It's like it's a dance.
It's like the probe is on ice skates.
Yeah. It's actually very impressive the way that they juke back and forth. It's like when he blocked those Lings that were trying to run in.
Yeah.
You know, on the other map when he like pulled the probe back and then put it back on. Yeah, it's just really, really smooth probe micro from Snow.
So he fakes with the Zealot pressure. He sends that back, basically running past the Overlord and then turning around. But, you know, this is a small fire that can eventually become a big one if the Protoss isn't ready. You know, the cannon hasn't started because the forge isn't done. But, you know, there's more lings inbound. We saw some extra lings hatching, which, again, was forced by Snow. But, you know, they're in the game now. Although I think from here we're probably going to see some droning.
Yeah, I would be surprised if he goes for like a ling all-in, right? That it doesn't seem like that should be something that ends up working. Ooh! Almost gets that probe.
The cannon started here. And it's going to be a 3-hatch Hydra rush. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, he bumps that probe
nice
out
block.
from behind. Yeah, can't get it.
Big overextension there. You know, that is the one pressure point that you have to be very careful of as the Protoss, is that a lot of wall-ins that are, you know, pylon bottom, forge, middle, gateway top, they sometimes need 3 units instead of 2. And you only have 2 zealots, so you have to use a probe to plug in the area between the zealot and the gateway. And one thing Protoss players try to take advantage of is that the gateway has that pyramid hat on it that you know, we just saw him click on. And so you can put the probe under that, and they can't click on it. But if it's not there perfectly, they'll just attack it and get through.
Yeah, it's a really good point, actually. And it's funny to watch Protoss utilize buildings like that, and they don't use it only for probes in that location. I've seen stuff like that used to try to hide High Templars a little bit as well. So very smart stuff, but I like the move from ggaemo, though, where he keeps the ling alive and then comes in from behind, because even that little bit more can help you to break through.
So, by the way, there's been a big trend in this tournament to just get that second cannon early. I think Hydra busts have been on the rise here.
Yeah. Yeah,
Where, you know,
I think the minis play has kind of forced that at this point.
Yeah, I think so. Where before then we were like, man, he's just going to get a core and get it all before, you know, +1 attack starts before the cannon comes. I think we're back at a much more conservative Protoss play since that era. Now, he now sees a Hydralisk, and so he needs to start to throw down cannons. Note the distance from the cannons and the forge. The forge can't be saved, but the cannons that are being produced also can't be attacked. Now, the top cannon, or pylon, I mean, does power the middle cannon here, but it doesn't power the bottom cannon. So,
oh, really?
You know, yeah. The ellipse that the pylon makes for powering is really not high up or down. So that's an unpowered cannon that's clicked on right now, see?
Oh, but he does have a second pylon warping in right there, so looks like he will have that cannon firing.
So now the least the Zerg can do is try to get the attack upgrade or you know, destroyed, but you know, one of the problems is that I think Zerg is still making Hydras, which means he's basically committed to this, which, you know, I think kind of falls on the Protoss now to basically be ready to stop it. Now, when the gateway goes down, there's a couple things that can be done here for the Protoss to try to buy time. One is to throw up, down another pylon or gateway as the Hydras try to dive. But he's not committing to it. It looks like instead he just wanted to have enough Hydras to defend his overlords and be safe. And he did force out cannons. I mean, if you have the Corsair flying through there, you know you have to make more cannons. You just have to respect that because Hydras are too good. So, we're in one of these post-rush games where the gateway and the forge were obliterated. The Zerg's hatcheries are going to come out much later, and this can usually make for a pretty interesting PvZ.
Yeah, I think the ggaemo's transition back into drones seems pretty smooth here overall, and there's not that many gateways yet, so Snow is not going to have a big enough army to really bust through. ggaemo doesn't need to make any more units for quite some time. I'm not minding his position. Who would you actually say is ahead here?
I think they're about even.
Even? Okay.
You know, you force the Protoss to make some cannons, and one of the big things for Protoss is that you've delayed that upgrade. And the Protoss really do rely on those upgrades for that. The gates are slowed down. You know, for the Zerg, they didn't have as many drones, and so you could see all these hatcheries coming down here. So the game quiet downs quite a bit. There are some plays, you know, that you can see used. You know, if the lair was taken faster and you kept building Hydras up, you could then try to like go for a drop, you know, and punish them. The Protoss, I've seen some Protosses in positions kind of like this one where they'll quietly make a Robo hidden in their main and get a DT and like drop the Zerg.
Yeah.
But usually that's when the main's pointed at the main base of the Zerg is accessible, not the natural.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I think in this position for both sides, it really makes more sense. You know, the Protoss, the Zerg tried hard to bust him. The Protoss held. They both kind of leave that part of the game with a black eye, and the game moves on. And they're back to a rebuilding phase. I do like the little speed lots. They're kind of being treated like vultures here to kind of move around the map and look for any information to scout, you know, and anything you can find. You know, he's going to see that there's 3 hatches here, so he knows he's in a 6-hatch game, which means the Zerg is basically powered up quite a bit. And that the Zerg's not necessarily planning on trying to like expand right away, but instead to build up a pretty big army. Guemchi has really done a phenomenal job of actually hunting down these Zealots. You don't normally see Zealots disappear this fast.
Yeah, he is doing a good job kind of zoning them back and chasing them down. A couple things I wanted to mention. We saw actually a slightly quicker Robo than we normally see. Do you think that's just because of the Lurker Contain that he lost to ggaemo before? Or was there some other idea?
No, I think it's because of this build. I think a lot of games, the Zerg will go for the Lurker Contain here. You know, when you force the cannons, okay, great. Well, I guess that you can't die to Hydras, but it also means your gateways are later. And so the Zerg can try to leverage this position. It's actually one of the reasons why it's important Snow put a DT on the map, is he needs to have some counterplay to try to hit stuff. You also end up with this really crazy excess in gas if they try to Hydra bust you and you have 2 gases mining. Because you don't you have nothing to spend it on. So you're like, okay, Robo, Templars, Storm. And only just now are the gateways coming up. So, you know, I gotta say, man, ggaemo is a very scary Zerg to watch as a Protoss player.
Yeah, isn't
he? He really kind of understands where the Protoss is weak. That's why those Zealots are on the map, by the way. It's a sniper drone like that.
A few more Zealots going down there as they run away. I mean, it seems like this is going to look very, very much like that previous game that we saw between these two, right? He can't really attack in. There's Psy Storms. There's a million cannons there already. But he does have some lurkers already.
Oh, wow. Okay, he sees that shuttle. That's huge.
Yeah, the Scourge coming in, too.
Oh.
That would have been big.
Scourge have, like, the worst vision in the game.
Well, they literally don't have eyes. The fact that they can see anything is an affront to the storyline.
They have to wait for sound to bounce off their teeth to even know what's around.
I don't even see ears on those things, man.
Yeah, no ears on the Scourge.
Yeah.
Actually, those are giant ears. That you thought those were like the wings. Those are the ears, man.
I can't.
They're floating heads with big ears. Yeah. So, oh man, I didn't actually catch that he picked that up at a drop. I was gonna say the drop play is very strong here. Keep in mind that Protoss is kind of done making cannons. After that bust. Snow is not, of course, because he's a good player, but a lot of times you can drop the Protoss and they don't have anything for that. But he's keeping Protoss inside, and that's because the Lurker Contain is going to set up really nicely here.
Yeah, and I mean, he's killing off some probes, and he's actually causing a lot of lost mining time as far as the gas goes. So these are issues. Like, Snow just dropped a 0 gas instantly and sat there until he could clean that up.
Now, Snow's ready to have a little attack over here on this 4th base. And, I'm sorry, I kept saying there's going to be a Lurker Contain. I don't see it actually set up yet. He's sort of roaming out here with Hydras. Okay, here we go. Now he wants to put it up here.
Oh, the
really bad Lurker Burrow, about as bad as you could ever ask for.
Yeah, 4 of them eating that storm, only 2 actually get out alive, unfortunately. Another good storm goes down. ggaemo's being really sloppy compared to the game on Eclipse.
Yeah, I almost don't even want to say good storms as much as bad Lurker Burrows.
Yeah,
that's kind of crazy. Like, to have 1 storm hit 4 Lurkers. I mean, the Lurkers are really what are going to win you the position. By the way, the Zealots can now hit the Hydras, and he's actually going to go for like a double play where he hits that base, And I think he might either Storm Drop, probably Storm Drop here. Maybe there's a DT inside of this as well. Damn. Not getting anywhere near the number of drones I thought he would, though.
Yeah. Well, if Gameo was any slower, he was going to get a huge amount there. A Storm in the main base. Not that many. Okay, there you go. Maybe about 7 drones killed from those storms.
Well, the problem is now it's going to be less storms over here. And, again, Gameo's not playing as clean in the most important part of the Lurker Contain as I would have expected. But there's only one obs here, right? I only see one. It was just before at the top of our screen. And, Gameo can basically try to hit it at the Protoss's weakest point and snipe now 2 observers. But quietly, Snow has sort of nudged his way into his natural expand and kind of circumvented the contain, right? Now he's not contained. Now there's just a lurker threat out here. But I think the Protoss is going to be much more comfortable having, this other base out on the map.
Yeah, well, if he can get that up and actually mining, it's so much better than that Eclipse game we saw, right? He was long distance mining with every probe because he literally went to 0. Here, he's got it a lot quicker.
Gaemo really messed this game up, I think. I think he was really in an almost winning position, but he didn't get that lurker contain in time. And then to allow those 4 lurkers to get stormed, those are your power units. And so now, Snow's in kind of the opposite of position of that Eclipse game. This time around, Snow is basically sitting comfortably, and, he doesn't have to attack into the Hydra Lurker Contain for a while. He is still contained, nonetheless. It's not like this third base is... Sorry, what?
I was going to ask, is this, like, the Hydra Lurker Contain, is this something that you can... Does it scale all right? Because still, Gameo has more supply. He has 4 bases. Like, can he just stay on this? Does he have to go Hive to win if Snow plays this correctly? Or can he just win straight like this still, even though there's a third base?
I think Hive comes no matter what. Just, you get far enough along. The first thing he needed to get with the contain is the 4th base. You do need 4 bases. Really... When you do the Lurker Contain play, it actually becomes all about the contain itself, if that makes sense. Because everything Zerg has is here, and the Zerg's not relying on spores or sunken colonies or any kind of turtley play. If the Protoss can even just barely win the fight and free up on the map, all the expansion Zergs have can be attacked, basically. So, Hive will come, right? These especially if it's a 3-base game and you're like contained still, the game can go on for a long time. But eventually, oh dude, he's not mining gas. Until I said it. So the big issue is going to be, can you break the contain or not? Because if he actually gets enough goons and kind of powers down with Storm and Dragoon range and breaks this open, just like that 4th base, there's really nothing there to protect it. My concern is that we have Gameo who's almost maxed out on Lurker Hydra. And you can basically throw lurkers down for days. And pretty soon here, Zerg is going to grow into the bottom right part of the map.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen right away, but it's going to come.
That will get very, very scary. Snow is trying to break out here to the south. It's not the most important area, but it is the least reinforced, so that makes sense.
Well, the thing is, if he can break out with his army and move around the map, that might, be enough to put Zerg into hot water, but you can see he's just sort of spreading the lurkers out almost to an insane position. When you consider, like, these guys can't zoom out like we can, how much screen this is, I would feel pretty hopeless if I was Snow in this position.
Yeah.
Just so many lurkers, like, everywhere you go, and you can never fully tell how many there are.
That's true. Protoss doesn't have scans.
Yeah, you can't really confirm, so you're just like, oh god, he's everywhere. Yeah, I don't know that Snow can get out of this. I'd give him another, 5 minutes of trying, but this is looking pretty brutal. And again, it's hard with the control groups to move through this. The Dragoons,
He's scourging the observers every time he comes in as well.
Yeah.
Like, that's maybe the second or third I've seen.
This is the way you want to do it, man. Eventually you have enough gas, you can just fly Scourge in, and, the observers are very much, a finite resource, and an absolute necessity more than almost anything else to break out. You can't blindly storm Lurker is you need to basically survey the landscape and decide where the lurkers are, where's the sweet spot, and so he might try to force push here. And I think he actually will break open this position. Let's see how many more Hydras can come in. Oh, dude, I didn't see those additional lurkers down there. Maybe not.
Yeah, and look at all these lings starting to flood in as well. Hydra's coming in for a flank at the top. And it seems like he will push him back for now. Mostly a Dragoon army, but a couple High Templars here in the back. Hopefully he can get a Storm off here. Puts one down, but ggaemo actually almost preemptively dodges.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting rough. You know, it's easy to watch this and feel bad for the Protoss, but, you know, take a look at the bottom right. Zerg grows into that very slowly. You know, 99% of the resources are just spent on Lurker, Hydra, Scourge, and some Lings. But yeah, he just will slowly fill in another hatchery at the bottom. And look, as that bottom right base is taken, the Protoss has now mined out the main and the natural. Right?
Oh, man.
And so
yeah.
We're starting to see the economics. It was even. It was back and forth. It was really all about position. Even as Protoss chips away and the contain widens, which is really an economic burden on the Zerg to hold, you're seeing back at home the Protoss is going to run out of resources. It's going to run out of options. And, you know, it's becoming, I think, an unwinnable game. I think we're going to have our first major upset of ASL. Snow is going to get wiped.
Yeah.
I think he did his best to fight back, and I got to say, it's not normal to see at the pro level Lurker Contain that is this godlike versus a 3-base versus Snow of all people. And look, he's pushed all the way back to the entrance now.
Yeah, that's just about it. Like, Snow is not going to be able to recover from here. His economy is just not big enough to replenish that army, unfortunately. But ggaemo put out excellent games tonight. He was ahead against Royal in the winners match, and now 2-0 against Snow. Looking really strong.
I would not be surprised if all ggaemo's games, PvZ, look like this.
Yeah.
Like, this is like what he does. This is some of the best Lurker Contain play I've ever seen. You know, I've always been curious, like, in the modern, because we don't cast that many games like this, you know, at least not in ASL.
Yeah, no, you're right.
But,
it's pretty rare, actually, to see this.
It's actually kind of an old way to play. And especially when Protoss has really figured out fast expand into 8 gateway, it didn't seem like it had, you know, that much application, but you can see why ggaemo does it. I mean, this is so strong. I mean, there's just minerals at this one base, so you have Snow mining on one base. ggaemo here with some very deep pockets. And he very much rhythm-wise expanded exactly how a Lurker Contain Zerg does. You know, he's not trying to expand that fast. He's not in a big hurry. He doesn't even have full drones there, GG. Doesn't even have full drones in that bottom right base. And a sweaty ggaemo wins that game. And I got to say, man, I am super impressed with this guy. I know this is a Protoss-heavy tournament, but, man, I think the Protoss players are going to be very uneasy having this guy advance to the next level of the tournament.
Yeah, I think it's probably pretty unlikely that any Protoss will pick him up in group selection. Right?
Yeah.
I think, yeah, if I had to guess, it's going to be a Terran that grabs ggaemo.
For sure.
He looks pretty frightening in this matchup. And, I mean, good in Zerg vs. Terran as well. I'm actually really happy for him. This is like, I mean, I'm sad to not have Snow move on because Snow is definitely one of my favorite players. But to see this guy, like, continue to improve, he's underestimated, but he puts out great games. And he wasn't like so many of the other lower-ranked ASL players who are just cheesing their asses off trying to get quick wins and trick the better players. He just sat there. He played
okay
solid
to play
macro
straight up.
3 times. Yeah. He played solid macro tonight, and that's it.
And Snow, I mean, what a rude awakening for Snow here. He does not advance in the ASL after so many years of dominance. You know, and he's certainly underperformed in some seasons, but, you know, we always kind of chalked that up to a fluke. But Lurker Contain, he got contained out of the round of 16
ASL 시즌
Artosis.
13 24강 D조 경기 모두 만나보셨습니다. 오늘의 두 번째 16강 진출자가 탄생했는데요. 바로 저그 김경모 선수입니다. 지금 바로 함께 하시죠. 축하드립니다.
감사합니다.
시즌 3 이후에 10번째 시즌 만에
네.
시즌 13에서 다시 한번 16강에 진출하셨습니다. 그만큼 긴 시간이 지났고 아마 많은 분들이 김경모 선수가 16강에 진출할 거라고는 많이 생각하지 못했을 것 같다는 생각이 드는데요. 이렇게 보란듯이 좋은 경기력으로 조지명식에 당당하게 이름을 올리셨습니다. 경기가 끝나고 경기석에서 눈을 감고 조금은 생각에 잠기신 듯한 모습을 봤는데요. 어떤 생각하셨나요?
제가 35인데 이 나이에 이제 16강을 가는구나 그런 생각이 좀 많이 들어가지고 시즌 3 때 이후로 못 올라온 기간도 길고 그다음에 기량도 많이 떨어지는 게 느껴져가지고 좀 힘들었었는데 이번에 좀 뚫게 돼가지고 기쁜 것 같아요.
오늘 2번 승리를 잡아낸 선수가 바로 ASL 7번 연속, 7시즌 연속으로 16강 진출한 선수고요. 게다가 2번의 준우승을 차지했던 정말 커리어로 치면 정말 강한 상대 장윤철 선수를 2번 잡아내고 이렇게 16강에 진출하셨습니다. 경기를 어떻게 준비하셨을지도 또 궁금해져요.
솔직히 윤철이 입장에서는 제가 뭐 올인 빌드나 이런 거를 준비해 왔을 거라 생각해가지고 저는 오히려 그냥 약간 그냥 좀 페이크만 주고 압박만 주고 그냥 운영하는 식으로 짜왔거든요. 그게 좀 주요하게 잘 먹힌 것 같아요.
그렇다면 최종전 히드라 초반의 공격 이후 바로 운영으로 선회한 것도 준비가 되어 있으셨던 건가요?
기본적으로 완전 올인할 생각은 없었고요. 근데 초반에 좀 유리하게 가는 것 같아가지고 압박을 좀 세게 넣었는데 그게 좀 잘 먹혀가지고 윤철이가 좀 당한 게 좀 느껴졌어요.
김지성 선수의 승자전 경기에서도 물론 패배하긴 하셨지만 초반에 드론 컨트롤이 굉장히 좋았다는 이야기들이 많았습니다.
그것도 맞고 난 뒤에 제가 이제 운영을 갔을 때 뮤탈 컨트롤이 좀 잘 돼가지고 상황이 좀 좋다고 생각했는데 그 상대방이 멀텍 거는 거에 좀 져가지고 그거에 좀 약하구나 이런 생각 들면서 다음 토스 2명 끝나면 어차피 토스는 해야 되니까 그거 생각하자 하고 그냥 기다리고 있었어요.
김경모 선수가 아마 이번 ASL 시즌 13 첫 번째 이변의 주인공이 아니실까 하는 생각이 듭니다. 지금 ABC조까지는 계속해서 많은 분들이 예상대로 좀 16강 진출자가 나왔는데요. 오늘 김경모 선수의 진출 이후에 ASL 시즌 13 다시 한번 좀 새로운 국면을 맞이하지 않을까 하는 생각이 들거든요. 16강에서는 김경모 선수 또 좀 보여주셔야 하는 책임감이 생기셨어요.
거의 다 한 것 같아요. 제목한 것 같고 뭐 최고령 ASL 진출자이기도 하고 그냥 되는 데까지 열심히 해보자 그런 마인드로 하겠습니다.
오늘 경기 전 인터뷰에서 오늘 오메킴이라는 특명을 받고 나왔다라고 말씀을 하셨는데 그 이상의 결과를 만들어내셔서 많은 동료들이 기뻐하실 것 같습니다.
예. 뭐 작전명 이루지 못했는데 그래도 저는 진출했고 한 명은 진출 못했으니까 뭐 달성한 것 같고요. 준비 잘해가지고 또 제가 또 다른 작전명 들고 올 수 있도록 하겠습니다.
팬들이 굉장히 기뻐하고 계십니다. 한 말씀 남겨주셔야 할 것 같아요.
저희 제가 개인 방송하는 거기에 응원을 정말 많이 해주시거든요. 너는 할 수 있다 맨날 그렇게 해주시는데 거기에 보답하는 경기력 한 것 같아가지고 기쁘고 항상 응원해주시는 팬분들 감사드리고 그다음에 무친대 김봉준 총장님 감사합니다. 그리고 나머지 이제 멤버들도 감사하고 항상 열심히 하겠습니다. 감사합니다.
네, 김경모 선수 다시 한번 진출 축하드리고요. 조지명식 때 뵙겠습니다.
네, 감사합니다.
자, 이렇게 해서 오늘의 두 번째 16강 진출자 김경모 선수와 함께했습니다.
Okay, guys, this was, I think, my favorite group out of all the groups we've casted so far. All the games were really interesting. And I think this is a crazy upset. Look, as a Protoss player, I'm a little bit bummed that Snow got knocked out, but I think the guy who takes his place, like ggaemo, this is a player you can really watch for.
Yeah. I hope that he can make some waves in the round of 16 as well. And it really evens things out quite a bit here, right? If it was 6-3-3, that looks a lot worse than what we have now. So very nice to have ggaemo go up. Our Terran line, I think we need another one in there. Protoss still looking strong even without Snow. That's a great lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Protosses can still tear through this ASL even with Snow being benched. But look, I think that even if it does seem offset, and it is right now, right? 5-4-3. It does seem like in StarCraft, whether it's StarCraft 1 or 2, usually tournaments have a way of sorting this out, and we do end up with that golden ratio of, a 1-1-2 racial distribution, unless it's that one season of KSL.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. David Kim is always the winner in the end. Our Group E, the next group that will be coming up, Soma, Ruin, JYJ, and Sock. A fun group, actually, Tasteless. Like, Soma is really fantastic still. Ruin is, I think, the strongest of the new generation of Protoss that are coming up. And JYJ and Sock are both top 6 Terrans. Like, they're right in there, right? Like, they are similar levels to Royal, maybe just slightly lower.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun TVT to cast. Looking forward to seeing how Ruin does here. I think JYJ and Soma probably the favorites. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree with that, but I think that Sock has real potential to kill JYJ, and Ruin has real potential to kill Sock and JYJ. Like, Ruin is super modern. Yeah. Remember that game against Light last season, right? He's real good. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. You're right. The PVTs here should be a lot of fun, depending on how the bracket goes. Soma, I think, kills people probably faster than any other Zerg we've seen. So,
yeah. No, I think Soma is a lock to get out of that group.
Yeah, I think so. Guys, thank you so much for joining us here for Group D, and thank you for your patience. I know it takes a little bit for us to get the first wave of VODs out, but we're going to continue to crank these out, and as ASL continues on, every future game is going to be recorded as quickly as possible, translated, edited, and put on the YouTube for you guys.
Yeah. So thank you again for all your support on the Patreon. Check it out, patreon.com/ASL English. And that about does it here for Group D. We'll see you again very soon with Group E. Thanks for watching.
ASL 시즌 13 Unlimited.
Tell me